Chapter 195. According to witnesses, he was able to form a sentient azure dragon and devoured my master's sun-moon transformation. He might even be half an immortal state warrior. Little Five said slowly. Everyone cried out in alarm and their expressions changed drastically. Apollo was also shocked and couldn't believe it. He was talented, but he only managed to control the power of the sun at the age of 42. Lin Zhenyu said that he had the potential to become an immortal state warrior. Therefore he was called the Sun God, and was one of the 12 main gods of Europe. But now, such a martial arts prodigy had appeared before the age of 30, which made him feel a sense of danger. Even if he isn't half an immortal state warrior, he has to be at the peak of the transcendent state and has the potential to become an immortal state warrior. Little Five smiled wryly and shook his head. Then we have to kill him as soon as possible. If he is allowed to become an immortal state warrior, we will be in trouble. A skinny middle-aged man said. He emitted a cold aura and cold air filled the air around him. The air condensed into weapons and the table and chairs were covered with white frost. Hearing this, many of the overlords and overlords nodded. Sixth Old Man Fan finally showed his anger and said slowly, "For 70 years, no one has dared to provoke the Dahuan gang except for the government and the warlords." His voice was cold and murderous, brimming with a powerful aura. This isn't a normal provocation. It's a serious provocation for killing a chief and a district supervisor. It can be said that they're treating the Great Circle like nobody's business. If we don't do anything, the Dahuan gang won't be able to do anything. I am afraid that the Mafia and Yakuza will think that we are weak and will come to bite us. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes as he slammed the table and said decisively, "Therefore the Great Circle must exact bloody revenge. Blood for blood, an eye for an eye, we must kill Kong Teichu at all costs." But how do we kill him? Wuxia has always been a forbidden area for the Dahuan gang. We have failed several times. In his seat, a white paper fan think tank asked with furrowed brows. The Great Circle was the largest organization in the Chinese community and was ranked among the top 4 in the world. They were able to support the warlords in small countries like Africa and Western Europe and influence the political situation of these small countries. However, when faced with such a large country, the difference was too great. Especially in Wuxia, they had zero tolerance for those peerless experts who violated the law and such acts of killing. In the 60s of the last century, there was a god realm master from the fire worship sect who formed a clique in the northwest of Wuxia to pursue personal interests. He set up another mountain and ran amok. At that time, the great man waved his hand and conducted 3 nuclear tests in the western region, directly razing the fire worship sect to the ground. Many masters and experts were turned into ashes, not even leaving a trace. From then on, the immortal state warriors in Wuxia disappeared without a trace. No one knew if they were hiding or if they were all killed by the explosion. This was basically the case globally as well. Since the birth of nuclear weapons, many masters had gone into hiding and no immortal state warriors had come out. If the Great Circle made a move directly, it would also lead to a crazy counterattack from Wuxia's officials. We're using the hidden flower method to mobilize all the experts in the world to kill Kong Teichu. Sixth Old Man Fan said in a deep voice. The so-called hidden flower was a private, illegal bounty that was not made public. The identity of the buyer was unknown. Normally, they would ask a trustworthy middleman to spread the news and anyone who killed the target would receive the reward. How much is Sixth Old Man going to pay for the hidden flower bounty? Little Five asked. 500 million USD. Sixth Old Man Fan's expression was calm as he spat out a few words like an ancient well. Everyone was shocked. This was the magnanimity of the Great Circle. 500 million USD for a single hidden flower bounty was enough to stir the entire underground world. Now the hidden flower bounty on the darknet has been released. Tombstone, the butterfly skeleton and the blood totem have all accepted the bounty. Even if Kong Teichu is a martial arts genius, he won't be able to stop hundreds of assassinations. Sixth Old Man Fan took a sip of his tea and said slowly, "It can be said that he can't stay in Wuxia any longer. He can only escape from the country and avoid the brunt of the attack." Little Five slapped his thigh and said excitedly, "If he dares to come out as long as he's in international waters, then our large-scale heavy firepower will come in handy." The Great Circle was involved in the arms smuggling trade. They had all kinds of heavy weapons piled up like mountains. In the past 70 years, No one has been able to live if I wanted to kill them. Sixth old man Fan nodded lightly. A mocking smile appeared on his face as if Zhang Tian was an ant trying to shake a tree. What a scary plan. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They felt a chill run down their spines and were even more wary of sixth old man Fan. Sai, this Kong Teichu is also a martial arts genius, but why did he have to provoke the Great Circle? Golden Scorpion shook his head and sighed. I'm afraid he will die a horrible death and he won't even know how he died. As long as he hasn't reached immortal state, he shouldn't make an enemy out of the Great Circle. That was the thought of many magnates. Jiang Taichu was even more powerful than Yi Zhantian had been back then. However, the difference was that Yi Zhantian had the backing of the Wuxia military. Furthermore, he had been in Wuxia all his life and had never left the country. The Great Circle not only had 7 magnates who were as powerful as grandmasters, but they also had hundreds of billions of US dollars in assets and a well-equipped modern private army. Kong Teichu was alone. No matter how powerful he was, how could he be a match for the Great Circle? Meanwhile, Jiang Tian was unaware of the plan. After discussing it with his parents, he and Qing'er drove to Jinlin City to attend his grandfather's birthday party. Jinlin City was the former capital of 6 dynasties. It was known as the Rouge of the North, Gold Powder of the South. Clothing and cultural relics, the first in Jiangnan, white under the clear stream, peach leaf round fan, beautiful and famous, not to be left behind in history. In recent years, the city's economy had been booming. Many modern skyscrapers had sprouted from the ground, complementing the historic sites. Tourists from all over the country flocked to Jinlin City. Zhang Wanqing had been working in Jinlin City for a long time. She had bought a small villa in Jinlin City. Jiang Tian and Qing'er stayed there. It was cleaner and more convenient than a hotel. Jiang Tian and his family were chatting in the living room. Yiziwei was there as well. We need to prepare a birthday gift for your grandfather. Jiang Zhixing sipped his tea and said. Yeah, they always laughed at our gifts in the past. Zhang Wanqing's face darkened. We can't let it happen again this year. The old man lived a simple life and was indifferent to fame and fortune. He only wanted to celebrate his birthday with his family and friends. He didn't like to be given expensive gifts. However, his 2 brothers and 1 sister liked to compete with each other. They used the old man's birthday as an opportunity to show off their strength. Yiziwei pursed her lips and smiled. Dad, Mom, Jiang Tian and I will go to the antique street in the Confucius Temple to buy some things. The old man likes the 4 treasures of the study, antique calligraphy and paintings, jade ornaments and so on. Yes, the old man also likes to play with calligraphy and painting. This is a good idea. Jiang Zhixing and his wife nodded. Even Zhao Xueqing was a little moved. Her eyes flickered and she seemed a little excited. Then let's go together. Jiang Tian originally thought that all antique jade ornaments would pale in comparison to the magical artifacts he made. However, when he saw Qing'er's excited face, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He had been wandering around for half a year and hadn't been able to accompany her to visit the scenic spots. So he nodded happily. On the way, Jiang Tian asked, I gave Zhonglin a few prescriptions when I was in Hubei province and asked her to promote it. Why haven't I heard anything about it yet? You were the one who gave her those prescriptions? No wonder she argued so strongly at the company meeting. Yiziwei was surprised. Why are they arguing? I asked her to say that she got the prescriptions from Shenong School. With the support of Shenong School's name, why didn't the Jiang family push it? Jiang Tian was surprised. Yiziwei held the steering wheel and frowned. The old man's health is getting worse and worse. He has completely given up now. Now Jiang Qingfeng is in full control of the company. Last time she argued with Jiang Qingfeng during a meeting and was fired by Jiang Qingfeng. She is only a clerk now. He's already back. Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes. Jiang Qingfeng was the son of his uncle Jiang Shuren. After studying in the United States, he worked for the international pharmaceutical giant Pfizer. He had been living abroad and was the most promising child of the Jiang family. In his previous life, Jiang Qingfeng only returned to Jinling in 2012 when the Jiang family was at its most dangerous. He wanted to turn the tide. It seemed that his return had caused a butterfly effect. History was not simply repeating itself. This guy came back early. Yes. After Jiang Qingfeng came to power, he immediately launched a bold reform. He stopped all Chinese medicine projects and focused all funds on Western medicine production, purchasing equipment and patents. Yi Ziwei said bitterly, although the Shinnong clan is famous, the prescriptions you gave were still products of traditional Chinese medicine. They were still rejected by him. This kid is an idiot. But he shouldn't be so stupid. Jiang Tian frowned. Medicine King Group started with Chinese medicine products and left consumers with the same impression. Now that they had changed to Western medicine, it would cost a lot of money and was equivalent to abandoning the brand effect that they had accumulated for decades. It was a thankless task. However, Jiang Qingfeng graduated from the Ivy League Business School. He should have known this. How could he have made such a low-level mistake? Or was there something else? So this is the reason why he didn't save Xianxia Pharmaceutical Factory with the 2 billion you got from Jiangbei Rong? Jiang Tian asked. Yes. Yi Ziwei nodded and said, he transferred the funds away too. Jiang Tian frowned and thought for a moment. He did not say anything. Suddenly he said, where does the old man live now? Take me there. I'll take a look at him. Chapter 196. Jiang Chongging had retired from his position as the deputy director of the Provincial Health Committee. He was still living in the family quarters of the Department of Health. When the car stopped at the entrance of the family quarters, Jiang Tian looked at a small building and said, don't go in. Grandpa is sleeping. Let's not disturb him. You didn't go in. How do you know? Yi Ziwei couldn't believe it, but she still followed Qin Fan's instructions. The old master's condition is already very serious, showing signs of the 5 decays of heaven and man. Jiang Tian was silent for a moment, then sighed. How did you see it? That's weird. It's the same as what Grandpa said. Yi Ziwei couldn't believe it. Heaven's eye, do you believe it? Jiang Tian said with a smile. Keep bragging. Yi Ziwei rolled her eyes at Jiang Tian. She thought that Jiang Tian was just joking. Qinger smiled but didn't say anything. Yi Ziwei asked again, Jiang Tian, Grandpa said the same thing. He said that he's not sick. He said that his time is up and he can't live anymore. What do you think? It's a piece of cake for me. Let's go. Jiang Tian waved his hand and called Yi Gufeng. He asked them to prepare some things. The Confucius Temple was a group of ancient buildings that had experienced many vicissitudes of life. It was a place to worship and worship Confucius. It was one of the 4 great Confucian temples in Wuxia, and it had a rich history and cultural heritage. The headmaster's temple was known as the Qinhuai Scenic Spot and had become the unique landscape area of the ancient capital of Jinling. It was also a well-known tourist attraction both at home and abroad. In the antique world, Confucius Temple in Jinling and Lilikang in Yanjin were located in the north and south respectively. They were like 2 stars in the sky. It was a sacred place for antique players. There were many scenic spots in the headmaster temple. The Learning Palace, the Desheng Gate and the Desheng Hall alone were enough to take half a day. In addition, the nearby Zhanyuan Garden, the Zhonghua Gate and the Qinhuai River were even more fascinating and tempting. Here pedestrians weaved together shoulder to shoulder. Many tourists followed the tour guides holding small flags to admire the scenery and take photos. In the crowd, Jiang Tian, who only had a slightly delicate face, did not stand out. However, with the 2 stunning beauties, Zhao Xueqing and Yi Ziwei by his side, he attracted many envious and jealous gazes. After strolling for a while and eating some snacks, Jiang Tian followed Yi Ziwei to the antique city of the headmaster's temple. Behind the main hall of the headmaster's temple, there was a group of antique buildings that imitated the Ming and Qing dynasties. There were nearly 20 antique shops of various sizes hidden deep inside. There were all kinds of antiques being traded. In terms of materials, there were wooden antiques, ceramic antiques, jade antiques, jewelry antiques, metal antiques, and so on. In terms of value, there were classical furniture for study rooms, utensils, makeup accessories, ancient coins, books, newspapers, posters, and so on. Sister Ziwei, what is this? Wonderful Stones Hall, did they sell stones? Is it a landscape stone? While strolling, Zhao Xueqing suddenly pointed to a door and asked curiously. Humph, you don't even know this. You are really a country bumpkin. Next to them, a sloppy young man got out of a Porsche Cayenne and said disdainfully. Jiang Tian found the voice a bit familiar. He looked up and could not help laughing. Jiang Chao, how dare you talk to us like this? Do you want to be beaten? Jiang Chao was the illegitimate son of his second uncle, Jiang Yangming's mistress. His second aunt was the mistress, but his father was kind and insisted on including him in the family tree. However, with his identity, it was inevitable that he would be ostracized and suppressed in the family. This also fostered his perverse and rebellious personality. He bullied people and did all kinds of evil since he was a child. However, Jiang Chao had always been afraid of Jiang Tian. At that time, Jiang Tian was the crown prince of the Medicine King group, the demon king of the demon kings. After being beaten by Jiang Tian a few times, Jiang Chao became completely obedient and avoided him like a snake. What's brother Tian? When did you come back? Sister-in-law also came back together? Jiang Chao looked at Jiang Tian and suddenly shivered. But immediately he despised him in his heart. I am an illegitimate son and you are an abandoned son. You are not even as good as me. When did I come back to report to you? Jiang Tian did not bother to pay attention to him. Seeing that Zhou Xian was a little moved, he pulled the two women into the wonderful stones hall. Didn't the family not allow Jiang Tian to return to Jinling? Why did he come back? I will find out the situation later and tell Big Brother. At the door, Jiang Chao looked at Jiang Tian's back and rolled his eyes for a while. Then he followed in. It must be your first time here. Have you ever played stone gambling? No. Then let me introduce it to you. When he saw Jiang Tian and the other two enter the courtyard, a shrewd worker wearing a long robe quickly went up to them and introduced them to them. When jade or emerald was mined, it was wrapped in a layer of weathered skin. With the current technology, it was absolutely impossible to know whether it was good or bad. It must be cut to know what was hidden in it. The raw material of a piece of emerald was colored and the surface was very good. When the first cut was cut, there was green. But when the second cut was cut, the green was gone. This was also a common thing. The raw material of this kind of emerald was called uncut stone. In the emerald trading market, uncut stones were also called stones. And the trading of this kind of raw stone, because of the high risk and high profit, was full of gambling, so it was called stone gambling. Compared with stone gambling, the trading of stocks, real estate and other risky trading were warm and paled in comparison. If you bet a jade, you could earn 10 times or 100 times and become rich overnight. But if you bet a jade, you could also become bankrupt overnight. There were countless people who jumped off a building because of gambling. Stone gambling could be said to be one cut to hell, one cut to heaven. So there was a saying in the jewelry industry, stone gambling was like gambling with your life. And those who dared to gamble often had a strong ability to resist risks. In short, you had to be rich. Losing 100,000, 80,000 or even millions of yuan was not enough to hurt the bones. Oh, these stones are so expensive. Look, a fist-sized one costs 20 or 30,000 yuan. Zhou Xian held Jiang Tian's shoulder and looked at the stones on the shelf, clicking her tongue in wonder. Sister-in-law, we came here to play, so we have to spend money. With me here, what are you afraid of? You don't have to buy any stones. I'll take care of it. Jiang Chao came over and patted his chest with a smile. He was ignorant and incompetent. He took the entrance exam for a third-tier university and dropped out impatiently halfway through. However, his second uncle doted on him very much and gave him 5 or 6 million yuan to open an antique shop. He could earn 1 million yuan a year. Although he seemed very enthusiastic, there was a bit of disdain in the corner of his eyes. He heard that the Zhao family's strength was very ordinary. Today he saw that it was true. Jiang Tian was doing too poorly. It seemed that the raw stones in the wonderful stones hall alone were worth tens of millions, but Jiang Tian did not care at all. Compared to the hundreds of billions of yuan in assets that he now controlled, it was not worth mentioning. He focused on admiring Zhou Xian's beautiful sparkling eyes and the gentle lines of her face. If he could make his beloved wife smile, he would buy the entire antique shop. So what? The shop assistant was also very perceptive. Seeing this, he hurriedly said, Mr. Jiang, why don't you come and play? I'm not playing. Sister Ziwei and Qing'e, if you want to play, you can bet. Jiang Tian smiled and said. He came here mainly to accompany Qing'e and Sister Ziwei. He just wanted them to have fun. This stone gambling was not challenging at all to him. He had opened his third eye when he was at the physique cultivation level and could see through everything. Could be said that he was right. Besides, he was not short of money. Seeing that Jiang Tian refused, the shop assistant was stunned. Generally speaking, men were very addicted to gambling. How could a man not gamble at a stone gambling place and let his female partner gamble? He tried to explain, "Sir, there are some stones here that are half gambled. They are stones that have already been opened and have green in them. The probability of them rising is very high. Do you want to give it a try?" I said, "I don't play this." Zhang Tian said lightly. Seeing this, the shop assistant pursed his lips and a trace of disdain flashed in the depths of his eyes. Looking at the way he dressed, he did not look like a poor person, but he could not even afford to gamble on stones. It looked like a silver spearhead. A poor person who came out to show off. It was a waste of breath. He worked in this kind of place and was used to seeing rich young masters throw money away. His heart had long been corroded to the extreme of worshipping money. In his opinion, poor people were not qualified to enter this kind of place. "Ziwei, you're here too?" Suddenly a surprised voice was heard. At the door, a young man with an extraordinary aura walked in. Behind him there were a few young men dressed in branded clothes. They were either rich or respectable. They clustered around him like stars surrounding the moon. "Young Master Chong, you're here. Please come in, please come in. I'll call our boss over." The shop assistant hurriedly bowed and greeted him. He then took out his phone as if he was about to make a call. "Don't make a fuss. I'm just here for a walk." The young man who was called Young Master Chong smiled faintly and waved his hand. He gave off an amiable feeling like a spring breeze. He had an elegant temperament and a noble aura on his face. It was impossible to disguise. Only a wealthy family could cultivate such an aura. Moreover, he was well-mannered and polite. He was low-key and reserved. He was different from the flamboyant and arrogant personality of the average rich second generation. "Young Master Chong, I didn't expect to meet you here. I'm your loyal fan." Jiang Chao ran over like a loyal dog that had seen its master. He nodded and bowed with a fawning face. Yu Chong was one of the wealthiest young masters in Jinlin City. He was able to suppress people like Qin Bo and Sun Hao. His father used to work in the military. After he retired, he worked in the Jinlin City Political and Law Committee. He controlled more than 100,000 police forces in the province. Yu Chong was not weak either. He graduated from a famous art academy and opened an art product trading company. In a short period of time he had accumulated billions of yuan. His achievements alone were comparable to the achievements of the entire Medicine King group. "Jiang Chao, what idol fan? I'm not a celebrity. Are you here to play with your cousin?" Yu Chong smiled warmly. Jiang Chao was flattered and nodded. Yu Chong moved closer to Yi Ziwei and said with a smile, "Ziwei, since when are you interested in stone gambling?" "I'm just looking around." Yi Ziwei smiled and took Zhang Tian's arm. She pretended to be looking at stones and walked to the side. A wisp of a fierce expression flashed in the depths of Yu Chong's eyes when he saw this, and he said indifferently, "This is your younger brother Zhang Tian, right?" Chapter 197. "Yes, sir." Yi Ziwei's face was cold. She didn't even look at him. This woman is so arrogant. She doesn't even look at young Master Chong. She must have a death wish. Seeing this, a few of the young masters were slightly angry. They secretly complained about young Master Chong. Jiang Chao also winked at Yi Ziwei, telling her to be more friendly to young Master Chong. In Jin City, Yu Chong, who was only in his 30s, was the favorite of many young ladies. The number of people who wanted to marry him was enough to break the Yu family's door. However, Yu Chong didn't even look at them. He had always been infatuated with Yi Ziwei and tried his best to get close to her. However, Yi Ziwei was very arrogant. She didn't even look at Yu Chong. The Jiang family only had 2 billion in assets, and Jiang Shuren was the only one supporting the Jiang family. He was only the deputy inspector of the Department of Sanity, which was not an important position at all. It was only a medium-sized family in Jin City, but the Yu family was one of the top 10 families. How was young Master Chong not good enough for her? Yu Chong could only shake his head and smile bitterly. He looked at Zhang Tian again. He had heard that her feelings for her brother, who was not related by blood, were extraordinary. But what was so charming about him? His face was handsome and his skin was not bad. However, he did not have the courage and temperament that a young master of a wealthy family should have. He had also heard that he had always been a good-for-nothing. He was ignorant and incompetent. He had caused a lot of trouble for the Jiang family. How could Ziwei be so infatuated with him? Jiang Tian, do you want to play stone gambling? If you want to, I can teach you. Yu Chong smiled and said. Teach me? What right do you have to teach me? You shameless bastard. Jiang Tian said coldly. Jiang Tian also had some impression of Yu Chong, but he didn't have a good impression of him. Although this person was not an evil person, he was extremely narrow-minded and could be said to be narrow-minded. After Jiang Zhixing was wrongfully imprisoned, he and Sister Ziwei went to find Yu Chong, hoping that he could help. Who would have thought that Yu Chong, who was burning with jealousy in his heart, would show his true colors of coldness and ferocity? He mocked and ridiculed Yi Ziwei, calling her a village woman who had eyes but failed to see. Wasn't it too late for her to realize how powerful he was now? Jiang Tian still remembered that Yi Ziwei had cried all the way back. She had been deeply humiliated and blamed herself. She had even wanted to give herself to Yu Chong to save her foster father. Even though 10,000 years had passed, Jiang Tian still felt unhappy when he thought of the past. Why did he have to be nice to him? How can you say that to young Master Chong? Young Master Chong is completely kind-hearted. Did this guy eat gunpowder? He's going to attack whoever he wants. Once these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed greatly. Jiang Chao was so frightened that he almost fainted. Is this brat crazy? How dare he speak to Yu Qiangru like that? Forget it, forget it. Don't bother about it. Yu Chong raised his hand to stop his companions just as they were about to explode. Now that he had not given up on Yi Ziwei, of course he had to show his graceful and magnanimous side. He seemed to be very concerned and said patiently, Jiang Tian, the waters of stone gambling are very deep. Without 10 years of foundation you can't see the door to the door. If you don't learn, your money will be wasted. It's completely a waste of money. That's right. Young Master Chong has been in the stone gambling business for many years and has been taught by a master. Young Master Chong's stone gambling is accurate. He has almost never misjudged. It's called Iron Mouth, 1,000 gold. Many of the young masters flattered and looked at Jiang Tian with disdain, as if Jiang Tian did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Jiang Tian frowned at first, then said with a smile, In that case, do you dare to bet with me? Jiang Tian, are you crazy? You dare to bet with young Master Chong? Jiang Chao looked surprised and could not believe it. Why wouldn't I dare? What's so great about him? Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Jiang Chao looked at him with a "you're dead" look and did not bother to say anything more. Yu Chong was stunned at first, then laughed and said, Jiang Tian, I've heard that you are arrogant and daring. Today I see that it's true. He sneered and said, But I'm afraid you don't even know the most basic knowledge of stone gambling. What do you have to compete with me? If word gets out, won't people say that I'm bullying you? Next to him, many young masters sneered softly as if Jiang Tian was asking for trouble. Yes, Mr. Jiang, young Master Chong's eyes are really accurate. At this time, the boss of the Wonderful Stones Hall heard the news and came. Hearing this, he said with a smile, Young Master Chong's family has a jade carving factory. Usually, he is in charge of selecting the raw materials. More than 10,000 raw stones have passed through his hands. He had never lost a single bet. Even several bosses in the antique street who started their business by playing with raw stones admit that they are not as good as young Master Chong's eyes. Seeing that the boss of the Wonderful Stones Hall admired Yu Chong, the crowd was even more disdainful of Jiang Tian. Forget it, Jiang Tian, don't be angry with him. At this time, even Yi Ziwei felt that Jiang Tian was too impulsive. She pulled his sleeve and tried to persuade him. She knew that Jiang Tian was not an ordinary person, but Jiang Tian had never been involved in stone gambling. Who would have thought that Jiang Tian would stubbornly go his own way instead? And he said with a smile, Who the hell does he think he is? Is he worthy of me being angry for him? If he competes with me, he will lose all his pants. Hearing this, several young masters were furious and shouted, Young Master Chong, let's bet with him and destroy his prestige. Let him be arrogant. Jiang Tian, how do you want to bet? Yu Chong could not help but ask. Don't ask about the price of the raw stones. Choose any stone. After the stone is opened, whoever has the highest price wins. Jiang Tian said lightly. Won't you lose if you compete like this? Immediately, many young masters looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a fool. Well, Jiang Tian, you are really arrogant. Yu Chong looked as if he was holding a divine bond. He put a car key on the stone table and said with a smile, "Since you want to bet, let's make a bet. If I lose, my newly bought Aston Martin V8 Vantage will be yours. If you lose, my car is worth 2 million yuan. If you lose, I'm afraid you can't get 2 million yuan." He glanced at Yiziwei and said with an evil smile, "Then let Ziwei accompany me to have a meal, okay? Young Master Chong is so cool. A super sports car worth 1 million yuan for a meal. This is the style of a domineering president. This guy doesn't dare to bet at all. If he does, won't he give his sister away?" The crowd was in an uproar. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "Okay, I'll bet with you." "What? You're really betting?" Yu Chang's face was full of disbelief. Then he showed a touch of joy and said, "Okay, let's start picking stones." Before he started, he didn't forget to smile at Yiziwei, which he thought was handsome and flirtatious, as if he had her in his pocket. Who is so stupid to bet with young Master Chong? What? It's him. He looks unfamiliar. I've never seen him before. I heard he is a new player. It's his first time here. He is going against young Master Chong on his first time here? Does he think he has too much money? Many onlookers shook their heads and sighed. Some were gloating. They all thought that Jiang Tian was going to lose. After the bet was set, the next step was to choose the stones. Many stone gamblers heard the news and came to see this super bet. Accompanied by Mr. Tang of the Fantastic Stones Hall, Yu Chang took out a magnifying glass and started to pick stones. In the stone gambling business, the water was very deep. Counterfeiting was serious and there were pits everywhere. One could use dyes to add color, fill lead to increase weight, or directly paste a thin layer of jade on the window of the half-gambling raw stone, etc. It looked like a treasure, but after cutting it open, it was a white board. Mr. Tang also had a lot of fake raw stones in his shop, but he had a good relationship with Yu Chang, so he naturally helped him to choose the real good stones. Based on this point alone, Yu Chang had the upper hand. "Young Master Chong, this half-gambling raw stone is good. Now I can see that it is of the high ice type. The water head is good and the depth is so deep that I can't see the bottom." Mr. Tang took out a stone and showed it to Yu Chang. "But the price is a bit expensive. It's 1 million yuan. While looking at the pine flower and python belt, it should be good material. The skin is also very thin. The iron sand shell should be the material of the old pit of Peigang." Yu Chang rubbed the stone, took out a delicate magnifying glass with a brass handle, and carefully looked inside through the window with a small highlight flashlight. He muttered to himself, "I can't see the bottom at first glance. Judging from the depth, it should be about 10 centimeters square. It's not small. Young Master Chong has a good eye. It's the material of the old pit of Peigang. It's not easy to find such old materials nowadays." Mr. Tang gave a thumbs up and praised. "He's an expert. Look at his equipment. You can't compare with him. Well, I've seen this stone. It's definitely jade. Brother, you're going to lose. Brother, give up. Don't bet with him. In this generation of the antique city, there are only a few people who have a better eye than him. The stone he chose is the treasure of the wonderful Stones Hall. It's worth more than 1 million yuan." Many young masters and onlookers were talking. Some were full of sarcasm, some were sarcastic, some shook their heads and sighed, and some were bitter. While talking, Yu Chang had already patted the stone and made a decision. "I'll choose this one. Transfer the money." Mr. Tang immediately asked the shop assistant to bring a wireless POS machine. Yu Chang's assistant swiped the card and transferred the money. The deal was done and the rest was to cut the stone to see the truth. Although Yu Chang was a scheming person, he couldn't hide his pride now that victory was in his hands. He glanced at Jiang Tian and said with a smile, "Jiang Tian, which stone will you choose?" Jiang Tian glanced around and then walked toward the rockery in the yard. "What's this kid doing?" Everyone was stunned and didn't know what was going on. Jiang Tian kicked a beige square stone that looked like a brick under the rockery and asked, "How much is this?" "How much?" The shrewd shop assistant looked at Mr. Tang in shock and didn't know how to answer. This was not a raw stone at all. It was a landscape stone. There was no possibility of jade coming out of it. Ha ha. Many of the stone gambling players present laughed like pigs at this moment. This yellow stone didn't have any green hair on it. There was no pine flower, no belt, no phosphorus, no moss, no. All the possibilities of jade were denied. Chapter 198. Boss Tang rubbed his forehead with his hand, trying to cover up and suppress his laughter. He shook his head silently, which meant that it was up to him. The shop assistant hesitated for a moment, then slowly stretched out 3 fingers, which meant that it was 300 yuan. At this moment he felt a sense of humiliation. It would be shameful for him to sell a 300 yuan stone in the Wonderful Stones Hall. You're selling such an ordinary stone at such a high price? Jiang Tian was stunned for a moment and then he started to bargain. When the shop assistant heard this, he almost spat out blood. You think a 300 yuan stone is too expensive? He suppressed the urge to beat him up and said with a smile, then tell me how much? 300,000? No, I'll give you 30,000 at most. Jiang Tian said with a serious face. At this moment the shop assistant felt that his head was really big. His heart of stone, which had been tempered by killing countless people, was a little shaken. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry, nodded and let Jiang Tian swipe his bank card. Although in the stone gambling house, one was willing to be beaten and one was willing to be beaten, the onlookers could still easily judge that this was a brain-damaged person. Seeing that he spoke so arrogantly, perhaps there was something wrong with his brain. While Jiang Tian finally got rid of the crazy Jiang hat in Linzhou and now he was back in Jinling, he proudly wore it again. All that was left was the stone-cutting segment. Several masters scrambled to Yu Chang's side. As for Jiang Tian's side, the stone-cutting masters didn't seem to want to come over. They looked at him with contempt as if he was a beggar. In the stone-cutting industry it was like a prostitute who found a good stone, and the buyer happened to be a generous person. It was possible that the buyer would give a reward of tens of thousands of yuan if he cut out a piece of jade. Stone gambling was more or less superstitious. Paid attention to good luck and bad luck. The stone-cutting masters always cut out bad stones. Over time the reputation of having bad hands spread, and people didn't want to look for them anymore. After a long time, one of the masters was pushed to Jiang Tian's side. He did not give any opinions and asked, "Sir, how do you want to cut it?" The normal procedure for stone cutting was to first rub the surface and look at the surface characteristics of the jade, such as the direction of the emerald color, the development and direction of the cracks, the distribution of the emerald and purple colors, the appearance of fog, the analysis and estimation of the changes in the water, the appearance of the raw stone and other characteristics. Now he had directly transitioned to the concept of cutting. The meaning of this guy's question was, "Hurry up, I still have to cut off a piece." Jiang Tian stepped forward and drew a line in the middle. Everyone roared with laughter. Wasn't this too much? Describing him as a vegetable was too much of a compliment. He was simply an idiot. Jiang Chao tugged at Zhao Xueqing and pretended to be concerned. "Sister-in-law, I heard from the grapevine that my brother Tian had a mental illness in Linzhou. Is this true?" After fixing the stone-cutting master seemed to be a little absent-minded. Fortunately he was quite skilled and basically met Jiang Tian's requirements. When the sound of the saw blade rubbing against the stone became the sound of the saw blade itself turning, no one paid any attention to it. When the wheel of fate was destined to reach its end, expecting a miracle to happen was a very childish thing to do. Suddenly a woman in sunglasses in the crowd screamed, "Ah!" as if it was the first time her chrysanthemum had been pierced. First it was the initial pain, then it was a huge surprise. She saw a touch of soul-stirring green. It was delicate and tender, so lustrous and translucent. After seeing the nature of the clear jade, everyone was petrified. The Immortal's body freezing curse and the martial arts pressure points did not have this effect. The stone-cutting master instantly felt his entire body drenched in sweat. His hands trembled and he almost wanted to cry. He did not have any strength in his body. It was as if he had just experienced a bungee jump. Fortunately the cut was not bad. A slight deviation, then it would not be a problem of whether he could continue living or not. The scene was silent. For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded and did not dare to make a sound. "What's wrong?" Yu Chang turned his head and asked a little irritably. His stones had also begun to cut. However, each cut was broken. Apart from the layer of high ice on the surface, the inside was all chaff. It was powdery and granular as if it had just been broken. Now that he had cut more than half of the stone, there was still no sign of jade. This made him very puzzled and frustrated. "There's imperial glass jade over there." Boss Tang found that his voice was trembling very badly. Imperial glass jade. At this moment Yu Chong felt as if he had been punched hard. He staggered back a step. My hands are shaking. Jiang Tian's stone-cutting master said apologetically with a sad face. I'll do it myself. Jiang Tian operated the stone-cutting machine and cut it as if he was cutting cabbage. When the sparkling and translucent jade was completely peeled out and held in his hand, the blazing hot sky seemed to cool down because of the green. On the other side, Yu Chong had also finished cutting the stone. It was all over and not a single piece of jade could be seen. The stone gambling agreement, Jiang Tian won. And he won so thoroughly. Everyone's eyes popped out. They were stunned and couldn't believe it. The result was beyond everyone's expectations. He's a master. He's got the Imperial glass jade in one shot and it's such a big one. He's hiding his strength. His eyes are so sharp. I'm afraid there are few people in the stone gambling circle in Wuxia who can compare with him. Everyone exclaimed in amazement. Boss Tang, who had previously asserted that Jiang Tian would lose as an expert, blushed and felt that his face was swollen because of Jiang Tian's slap. How did he see the Imperial glass jade in this landscape stone? The shop assistant also had a look of disbelief. Could it be that Jiang Tian really knows how to gamble on stones? When did he learn this skill? Jiang Tian also looked at Jiang Tian in a daze. Besides being shocked, he was also full of envy and jealousy. He's probably just lucky. Yu Chong snorted. He was very unconvinced. Mr. Jiang, can you sell this jade to me? I'm willing to pay 15 million yuan. Boss Tang was a businessman after all. He quickly collected his emotions and went forward with a cheerful face. He cupped his fists and said flatteringly. His wonderful stone hall had been open for many years, but it had always lacked a treasure. This Imperial glass jade was definitely qualified. I'm not selling it. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. He looked at Zhou Xian with a smile and said, Qinga, do you want it? Forget it. You can give it to Sister Ziwei. I already have the 8 blessings necklace. Zhou Xian said with a smile. Okay, Sister Ziwei, catch. Jiang Tian threw the jade to Yi Ziwei as if he was throwing garbage. Oh. Looking at the jade drawing a beautiful arc in the air, everyone's eyes moved up and down. They exclaimed and some even jumped. This is a treasure worth tens of millions. You just throw it out like that? You really don't care about money. It was not until Yi Ziwei caught the jade that everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Their hearts were finally at ease. Jiang Tian walked calmly to Yu Chong and said calmly, Yu Chong, where's the car key? The muscles on Yu Chong's mouth twitched. He was heartbroken. This car was worth more than 2 million yuan. His money did not grow on trees. He was really unwilling to lose it to Jiang Tian. However, Yi Ziwei was in front of him. He could not go back on his words. He concealed the viciousness in his eyes and handed the car key to Jiang Tian. He forced a smile and said, Okay, I'll accept my loss. Take it. Jiang Tian, you can't take it. Jiang Chao stomped his feet anxiously. If Jiang Tian took the car key, it would mean that he had a grudge with Yu Chong. With Yu Chong's narrow-minded personality, it was very likely that he would take revenge on Jiang Tian, and even the Jiang family. Yi Ziwei was also hesitant. She wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. She knew that Jiang Tian was a martial arts master and was quite famous in Jiangbei. However, this was Jin City Yu Chong's world. Why can't I take it? Remember this, Yu Chong. It is your honor that I take your things. Jiang Tian ignored Yi Ziwei and Jiang Chao's warning look. He took the car key and walked away. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, dumbfounded. Jiang Tian is too brave. How dare he take Yu Chong's car key? A young master mumbled. Isn't he afraid that Yu Chong will kill him? Someone else was shocked. Jiang Tian, are you crazy? Hurry up and return it. Jiang Chao's face was filled with astonishment and shock as he looked at Jiang Tian's back and shouted. Not to mention the juniors like him and Jiang Tian, even his father Jiang Yangming had to be courteous when he saw Yu Chong. After all, Yu Chong's father controlled the political and legal system. Who dared to offend him? Yu Chong's face was gloomy and a hint of displeasure flashed in his eyes. He then pretended to be generous and waved his hand. Jiang Chao, forget it. It's just a sports car. I don't care about it. He really didn't want to stay here. He asked his companion, by the way, have young Master Tang and young Master Feng arrived? They have arrived at the Six Dynasties tea house. The companion hurriedly said. Everyone, I have something to do. I'll leave first. Yu Chang nodded and hid his displeasure and disappointment. He quickly walked out of the wonderful stones hall. The residence of the Six Dynasties tea house was located right in front of the Ming Yuan building of the tribute compound. It had 2 floors, decorated with flying eaves and painted rafters and carved window frames. It had an antique flavor, and it had the lingering charm of the Six Dynasties, giving people a sense of elegance and depth. There was a couplet at the door. Near the master's residence you can eat fine food, you can eat fine food. On the left bank of the Qinhuai River, you can grow with the flowers and the moon. It was made by a contemporary master of calligraphy and painting. There were many famous paintings hanging in the hall. This place was famous far and wide. Many literati came to drink tea and chat. The owner of the tea house would ask for calligraphy treasures. Any one of these famous paintings could be sold for millions of yuan. On the second floor there was a tea house near the river. There were 8 Immortal's Manor old rattan chairs, and a pot of good Longjing tea before the Ming dynasty. The fragrance was faint. The warm wind made the tea house drunk. It was a good place for friends to gather. Yu Chang walked in carefully and saw 2 men chatting in a low voice beside the boxwood tea table. It was like an old tree with roots and flying dragons in the sky. There were 3 beautiful women in Cheongsam beside them. One of them, who was the tallest and most beautiful, was concentrating on making tea in a kneeling position. She carefully watched the heat and controlled the temperature. The other 2 stood behind their respective men and didn't dare to breathe. One of them was a tall, heroic and valiant man who was sitting in the lower seat. Beside him was a tall woman who was wearing a Prada business suit. At the head of the table was a Buddhist-like man wearing a yellow long gown and soft cloth shoes. He had a bald head and his eyes were half closed. He had a benevolent appearance and spoke in a low voice. However, the man and woman leaned forward and listened carefully. Beside them sat a few bosses in the antique industry. They were all famous in Jinling. Each of them had a few antiques beside them. However, they were clearly not in the eyes of these 2 gods. Looking at the man, Yu Chang felt uneasy. He was nervous and clicked his tongue. This should be the legendary Tang Xiaozi from Yangqing. He was really powerful. He had only been in Jinling for a few months, but even Gui Yinlin and Gu Xiu had to be polite to him. Chapter 199. Young Master Gui, Miss Gu, I'm sorry for being late. Yu Chang's heart skipped a beat. He stepped forward and bowed slightly with a warm smile on his face. Little Gui, have a seat. Gui Yinlin nodded slightly without even looking at Yu Chang. He was full of arrogance and didn't take Yu Chang seriously. However, Yu Chang wasn't angry at all. He smiled and sat down. Gui Yinlin's father was the second in command in Jinling's military. Yu Chang's father used to be Gui Yinlin's father's subordinate. Gui Yinlin was ranked in the top 3 among Jinling's young masters. Yu Chang was ranked in the top 20 and could be considered Gui Yinlin's little brother. Plus, the relationship between the 2 families made him respect Gui Yinlin. Tang Xiaozi smiled politely and said, Young Master Chang, I heard young Master Gui say that you're in the antique business? You flatter me. Just call me Little Chang. It's just a small business with a few billion. I can't be compared to young Master Tang. Please don't embarrass me, Yu Chang said humbly with a smile. It's already very good. You should be content with what you have. Tang Xiaozi smiled like a Maitreya Buddha. He hesitated for a moment and said, Do you know anything about magic artifacts? Magic artifacts? Yu Chang was slightly surprised and shook his head. I'm sorry, I've never seen one before. Tang Xiaozi's face was filled with disappointment and worry. He sighed and said, If you can't find a magic artifact, how can Master Kong be satisfied? Young Master Tang, I'm sorry. I didn't do a good job. Gui Yinlin said apologetically. Young Master Gui, it's not your fault. Actually, the things you brought are priceless in the eyes of ordinary people. They can be passed down as family heirlooms. Tang Xiaozi bitterly sighed. But that Grandmaster Jiang is a godlike figure in the heavens. If we want to send it to his family as his grandfather's birthday gift, it's far from enough. After that, the 2 of them put their heads together and whispered to each other mysteriously. They talked about things like Master Kong, Jiangbei faction, Princess Flower, cultivation resources, the military attaché's great importance to him, and so on. Who is this Master Kong? It seems that even the Guo family and the Tang family are trying their best to curry favor with him. They want to celebrate his grandfather's birthday or something. Yu Chang's mind was filled with confusion and he couldn't get a word in edgewise. The girl with long black hair and bright eyes and white teeth was called Gu Xiu, Guo Yinlin's girlfriend. They were like a golden couple, a perfect match. Gu Xiu turned to look at Yu Chang and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Yu Chang, was there a traffic jam just now? Young Master Guo called you and you dared to be late?" Yu Chang's heart tightened. He bowed slightly and said with an embarrassed smile, "Miss Gu, don't mention it. It's bad luck. I bumped into Yi Ziwei at the wonderful stone hall and we chatted for a while. I lost a game of stone gambling with her trashy younger brother. He respected Gu Xiu very much. Her grandfather used to be the deputy governor of Su province. She herself was an important person in the Jin city's business circle, and she was also a successful businesswoman. In Jinling she could be said to be a socialite in Jinling. Which Yi Ziwei? Jiang Zhixing's adopted daughter? What's her younger brother's name? Is it Jiang Tian? Yu Chang asked casually. He didn't expect Tang Xiaozi to jump to his feet and exclaim in shock. What happened? Even Guo Yinlin's face changed dramatically. It's him. Young Master Tang also knows him. Yu Chang didn't expect young Master Tang to have such a big reaction. Tang Xiaozi's body trembled uncontrollably. He glanced at the other owners of the antique shop. Gu Xiu immediately understood and stood up. She smiled politely and said, "I'll have to trouble you to make a trip here. That's all for today. If you have any Dharma artifacts, please contact me. The price is not a problem." "Miss Gu, it's no trouble at all. Young Master Tang, young Master Guo, we will leave now." The few bosses bowed and cupped their fists. After a few polite words, they quietly left the tea house with the three maids and Chong Sam. Gu Xiu quickly closed the door. Suppressing his anger, Guo Yinlin frowned and shouted, "Are you still pursuing Yi Ziwei? You bumped into her and Jiang Tian again today?" "Yes. Did you do anything overboard?" Guo Yinlin frowned and asked anxiously. "No, I asked her out a few times but she didn't come out. She even asked the flower shop to send her roses." Yu Chang felt something was wrong. Guo Yinlin's eyes were murderous. "I lost my sports car to Jiang Tian, but I didn't do anything overboard. We just exchanged a few words." He never thought that there was anything wrong with him chasing after Yi Ziwei. Jiang Zhixing was just a divisional leader and Zhang Wanqing's assets were just so. He would be marrying him. He wanted to make a joke to ease the tense atmosphere. "Young Master Guo, since when are you so concerned about my personal matters? I don't think you've ever introduced a girlfriend to me. Don't be so cheeky. Do you know you're in big trouble? He's Master Kong of Jiangbei." Guo Yinlin slammed the table and shouted angrily. "It's over. You've offended Master Kong. You're going to die without a burial place." Tang Xiaozi shook his head and sighed. "Young Master Guo, if Master Kong wants to punish me, you have to testify that this has nothing to do with me." "What? Jiang Tian is Master Kong of Jiangbei?" Yu Chang suddenly understood. He couldn't help but shiver. His face was ashen. He couldn't believe it. He was in the antique business and had traveled extensively to collect antiques. He was well informed. How could he not have heard of Master Jiang of Jiangbei, who had recently risen to prominence? Even in his antique shop, people often talked about this mysterious Master Kong. However, he couldn't connect the Master Kong of Jiangbei with Jiang Tian, who was known as a good-for-nothing in Jinling. Normally Yu Chang was rather filial to Gu Xiu. At this moment, Gu Xiu couldn't help but put in a few good words for him. She smiled and said, "Yinlin, don't scare Yu Chang. On account of the two of you, Grandmaster Jiang shouldn't do anything to Yu Chang, right?" "Yeah." Yu Chang also regained his senses and smiled. "I heard that Grandmaster Jiang cured Elder Tang of Lin Zhou's strange illness and has a good relationship with Yi Ziwei's father Yi Gufeng. However, no matter how strong he is, how can he be a match for the Guo and Tang families? Yi Xiu, you think too highly of us. Master Kong is going to give us face?" Guo Yinlin shook his head and said with a sad and self-deprecating face. "The two of us are not even worthy of carrying Master Kang's shoes. Even my father and young Master Tang's father, Master Kong, doesn't have to give face. What? He is so powerful." Gu Xiu and Yu Chang couldn't believe it. He is a martial arts grandmaster at the peak of the transcendent state. He has killed several martial arts grandmasters, including Wei Shuofeng and Mo Haoxiong. Tang Xiaozi heaved a sigh. He couldn't help but tremble in fear. What is a martial arts grandmaster and a calligraphy master? Yu Chong was the son of a government official. He was used to dealing with rich and powerful people. Therefore he knew nothing about martial arts or dharma spells. What is it? Tang Xiaozi's face was filled with fear. It is an inhuman power. He can condense qi into a weapon and kill people from 100 miles away. He is not someone we can afford to offend. This, Yu Chong couldn't believe it. He wanted to say, isn't this just a novel? But seeing Tang Xiaozi's serious face he had no choice but to believe it. Wuxia was not convinced. She smiled and said, no matter how powerful he is just a Jianghu cultivator. How can he fight against the police and the military? Xiaogu, you have underestimated him. He was once the martial arts consultant of War Dragon. He even had the chance to be the head sergeant of War Dragon. Guilin's face was solemn and full of respect. What? War Dragon? Yu Chong and Wuxia were confused again. War Dragon is directly under the general's staff. It is the trump card of the military. If he was the head sergeant he could be promoted to major general within 3 years. But he politely declined. Guilin sighed with deep emotion. Promoted to major general within 3 years? Doesn't that mean he became a major general before the age of 30? This is unheard of in Wuxia. Wuxia covered her red lips. Her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He couldn't believe it at all. Even if she didn't know much about the military she knew what it meant to be a general. Especially in a large country like Wuxia, a general's status was extremely high. He was equivalent to the head of a small country. He could make hundreds of millions of rich people bow their heads and make the officials treat him with respect. This is a special case. Normal people don't know about it. Guilin frowned. What should I do? Yu Chong was dumbfounded. Cold sweat poured out of his forehead like a small stream. He was almost on the verge of tears. This time young Master Tang and I called you here not for us, but for the Gu clan and the Tang clan. We are going to celebrate the birthday of Grandmaster Zhang's grandfather, Jiang Chongging, and look for suitable gifts. Guilin said earnestly. Wuxia and Yu Chong were stunned again. They were completely petrified. Even at their peak the Jiang family was not in the top 20 in Jin City. They were a far cry from the Guo family, not to mention the Tang family in Yangqing. Now Jiang Tian had relied on his own strength to make the Tang clan and Guo clan pay homage to him. What kind of achievement was this? What kind of heaven-defying achievement was this? Compared to him, I am just a vice president of the Provincial Capital Investment Company. I am only in charge of a few billion assets. Wuxia sighed. She admired Jiang Tian from the bottom of her heart. Tell me everything in detail. Don't leave out any details. Guilin asked Yu Chong to describe the process of stone gambling with Jiang Tian. Chapter 200. Guilin frowned and pondered for a long time. He took out 2 cigarettes and sighed. Apologize to Yi Ziwei first and tell her that you won't harass her anymore. Then prepare some gifts. Okay. I don't care how much it costs. Yu Chong wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and agreed. Master Kong doesn't care about antiques and jades at all. Tang Xiaozi shook his head and said with certainty, I think we should contact a few of the big shots in Jiangbei and see what Grandmaster Jiang needs. We should cater to his liking. No problem. As long as we can mend our relationship with Master Kong, I'm willing to spend all my money. Young masters, you must help me. Yu Chong was like a drowning man who had caught a life-saving straw. His face was full of pleading as he hurriedly promised. What? That brat Jiang Tian won a sports car from young Master Yu? In the chairman's office of the Medicine King Group, Jiang Qingfeng was so shocked that he jumped up from his leather chair. Yeah, it's an Aston Martin V8 Vantage. It's brand new. It's a limited edition car in Wuxia. It's Yu Chong's favorite. Jiang Chao shook his head and said, Sai, he can't do anything right. Jiang Qingfeng's face was livid with anger. He slapped the desk and shouted angrily, Isn't it enough to offend a young master from Yanjing? Do you want to offend all the people in Jinling? This is pushing the Jiang family into a fire pit. He immediately asked his secretary to contact Yu Chong's assistant to apologize in person and clean up the mess for his good-for-nothing cousin. When Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Chao arrived at the Six Dynasty's residence tea house, Tang Xiaozi, Gu Yinlin and the others were coming downstairs. Jiang Qingfeng hurried to greet them and said, "Master Chong, I'm so sorry." He bowed to Gu Yinlin but did not dare to greet him. He was not qualified to talk to Gu Yinlin directly. "Mr. Jiang, it's just 1 hour. Don't take it to heart," Yu Chong said with a smile. Hearing the two words Mr. Jiang, Jiang Qingfeng was flattered and quickly said with a happy face, "I apologize for the stone gambling. I will definitely ask him to return the car to you. He has been expelled from his family for more than 3 years and hasn't returned to Jinling for a long time, so he might not know your identity." "What do you mean I don't know?" "He's been left alone since he was young, so he's developed a condescending personality and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Jiang Chao had a look of disdain on his face. It was as if his status in the Jiang family would be higher if he trampled on Jiang Tian. Seeing this, Tang Xiaozi and Gu Yinlin looked at each other meaningfully. Yu Chong also frowned without leaving a trace. It seemed that Master Kong wasn't doing too well in the clan. Moreover, Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Chao seemed to have some prejudice against him. Brothers used to fight for power and trample on each other. Born in a rich and powerful family, they had seen too much of this. "Let's have dinner together tonight. Take it as my apology on behalf of my good-for-nothing cousin." Jiang Qingfeng invited him enthusiastically. "Forget it, we still have things to do. Let's chat another day." Yu Chong's face suddenly turned cold. Gu Yinlin and Tang Xiaozi walked away as if they were avoiding snakes and scorpions. Originally, they wanted to take the opportunity to befriend Jiang Qingfeng, but now they had made up their minds to stay away from these two ignorant fellows so that Master Kong wouldn't misunderstand. "Master Chong, please don't take it to heart. This guy is a good-for-nothing who causes trouble every day." Jiang Qingfeng even chased after him to apologize. Next to them, Gu Xiu sneered in her heart. Her eyes were full of disdain. "Ah, they are really blind. An expert is right next to them but they don't know at all." Jiang Tian drove the Aston Martin ostentatiously through the city with his beautiful wife, Zhao Xueqing, sitting next to him. It was very eye-catching. They went all the way home. After getting out of the car, Jiang Tian said, "You can drive this car. I still have a Rolls-Royce Phantom." Yiziwei said worriedly, "Jiang Tian, let's return the car. I'm afraid Qingfeng and the others will make a big fuss about it." "Let him do it. If he doesn't do it, he won't die. If he wants to die, he's asking for it," Jiang Tian said disdainfully. Sigh. Yiziwei knew the nature of her uncle's family, but Jiang Tian was so insistent that she could only sigh helplessly. When they got home, Yiziwei found that Jiang Zhixing did not look too good, but Zhang Wanqing was calmer. "Mom, Dad, we're back." Jiang Tian greeted them nonchalantly. "What did you buy?" Jiang Zhixing asked with a frown. "Nothing much. The things are too bad. But don't worry, Dad, Mom, I've already prepared a gift. It will definitely make Grandpa very happy." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. "I heard that you went stone gambling?" Jiang Zhixing asked with a gloomy face. Yiziwei was shocked. She quickly tried to make up for Jiang Tian with a smile. "Dad, Mom, don't blame Jiang Tian. He won the bet and won an Emperor Glass Jade. Even if he won 100 million, it's still not a good thing." Jiang Zhixing's face was ashen. He glared at Jiang Tian and shook his head in disappointment. "It's been a few years, but you still can't change your gambling habit. Dad, Jiang Tian has never gambled in Linzhou. I wanted to play today, so he brought me in." Qinger also spoke for Jiang Tian. "Don't speak for him," Jiang Zhixing shouted. He then slammed the table and asked, "I heard that you gambled with Yu Chong and won a sports car." "Yes." "Do you know that his father is Secretary Yu of the Political and Legal Committee? How can we afford to offend him?" "Jiang Tian, you disappoint me. You're already 25 years old. Don't tell me you still don't know what's important." Jiang Zhixing was so angry that his face turned pale. "Zhixing, is this Jiang Tian's fault? What did he do wrong?" Zhang Wanqing doted on Jiang Tian. She was unhappy when she heard her father's words. Seeing that his parents were about to quarrel, Jiang Tian raised his hand helplessly. "All right, stop quarreling. I'll send it to them tomorrow." Jiang Zhixing shook his head and sighed. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. In the end, he walked into the room angrily. Xiaotian, don't argue with your dad. He's just a stubborn old man. He doesn't know how aggressive young people can be. Zhang Wanqing held Jiang Tian's hand and comforted him gently. I won't argue with him. Jiang Tian smiled. His dad didn't know his strength and was worried that he would be taken advantage of. As the saying goes, love is love. After resting for a while, it was night time. Zhang Wanqing came to Jiang Tian's room and sighed. Your eldest and second uncles want us to go to a restaurant for dinner. They want to discuss the birthday celebration for your grandfather. They specifically asked you to go. Fine, I'll go. Jiang Tian stood up happily. They'll definitely ask you about the stone gambling. When the time comes, you have to admit your mistake. Zhang Wanqing was worried. She then asked Jiang Zhixing and Qing'er to go out together. Yi Ziwei didn't like to interact with the Jiang family. She said that she had to work overtime and went to the company. The location of the gathering was a private restaurant in the family courtyard of the Department of Sanity. It was very secluded and the environment was very quiet. It was like a manor. There were rockery, strange stones, waterside pavilions and covered bridges. Around the 1-acre square pond, the landscape lights sprinkled colorful lights. Fat fish swam in the water and there were a few lotuses. They entered a huge private room. Except for the old man, everyone was there. Eldest uncle Jiang Shuren's family, second uncle Jiang Yangming's family, eldest aunt Jiang Dingxiang's family, and youngest aunt Jiang Baiji's family. The old man's naming was very unique. Girls liked to use Chinese medicine names, which showed his love for Chinese medicine. Jiang Chongging had 3 sons and 2 daughters. Jiang Zhixing was the 3rd son. He had 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. Jiang Qingfeng was the son of eldest uncle Jiang Shuren. Each of these families had a few heirs, and the 50 to 60 square meters of private rooms were filled to the brim. It could be said that they were all gathered together. Jiang Tian looked at them with a calm expression. This family couldn't even be compared to the Tang family and Bai family in Lingnan, let alone the Zhang family in Yanjing. No wonder his grandfather's family opposed his mother's marriage. When Jiang Tian was sizing up the crowd also looked at Jiang Tian with a complicated expression. There was some jealousy and some disdain. In their opinion, Jiang Tian was ignorant and incompetent. He beat up the young master of Yanjing and caused a disaster. He was not qualified to return to the family. But they didn't expect the old man to allow him to come back. He even asked about it many times. It seemed that he was biased. This guy offended Yu Chong. How dare he come here? Isn't he afraid of being scolded? Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Chao curled their lips. They were extremely disdainful of Jiang Tian. Zhixing, sit down. Jiang Shuren, who was nearly 50 years old, waved his hand. As the saying went, the eldest brother was like a father. Since the old man was not here, he was obviously in charge. Moreover, Jiang Shuren was now a deputy inspector in the Department of Sanity. He had the highest official position in the family. After the old man retired, he was the one who supported the Jiang family. Eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, second brother, second sister-in-law. Jiang Zhixing and Zhang Wanqing greeted everyone. Zhao Xueqing also greeted them. But Jiang Tian's face was cold. He stood behind them with his hands behind his back and was too lazy to talk. There was a bit of disdain and anger in his heart. In fact, these elders were not as good as his cousin Jiang Lin. Back then, the Jiang family was on the verge of collapse. Most of the elders, such as first uncle and second uncle, wanted to divide the family property. Only Jiang Lin and Yi Ziwei, who were adopted daughters of different surnames, fought with their mother to the last moment. In the crowd, when the crowd saw that Jiang Tian was so rude, they all revealed expressions of dissatisfaction. Jiang Lin was also sitting in the corner, but she had been stripped of her position by Jiang Qingfeng. She didn't dare to talk to Jiang Tian at all. Uncle Jiang Tian, did you bring me a gift? Only Jiang Wan, the daughter of Jiang Chen's aunt, greeted him. She was only 7 or 8 years old. She didn't know that everyone disliked Jiang Tian. She only knew that this uncle loved her very much and would give her a few hundred yuan every year during the spring festival. Come and sit next to me. Jiang Tian sat down, pulled Jiang Waner over and gave her a big red envelope. After Jiang Tian and his family took their seats, Jiang Shuren smiled and said, now that Qingfeng is carrying out bold and decisive reforms in Yawang Group, of course he can't do without everyone's support. Chapter 201. Qingfeng deserves to be called a sea turtle. Well done. Everyone looked at Jiang Qingfeng with admiring gazes and praised him. Jiang Qingfeng was also very polite. Jiang Shuren's face was full of joy as he said, "Then, let's also hold a grand celebration for the old man's 70th birthday this time. Everyone, if you have any good old friends, please call them all over. We have to tell all the big families in Jinling that our Jiang family is doing well." "Ah, big brother, you are a deputy director. You have a lot of connections. If you say something, many people will come." Second aunt looked at Jiang Shuren and said flatteringly, "Yes, big brother, you have been fighting steadily for the past few years. Your achievements are very obvious. I think you can be the director before you retire." Second uncle Jiang Yongming also flattered. Then he slammed the table and said, "When big brother becomes the director, I want to see if any hospital dares to not buy our products. It will scare them to death." Jiang Shuren smiled proudly and said, "Those famous Chinese doctors and the bosses of pharmaceutical companies are nothing. This time I will try to invite one or two big leaders from the province or city. It will be different if people like them come. That's right. Our Jiang family's prestige will be established." Everyone was instantly excited. As they chatted, First Aunt suddenly laughed and said, "Now that you've been promoted to knowledge executor and become a county magistrate, you don't have to hide your connections and resources. Let's strengthen the Jiang family's prestige." Everyone looked at Jiang Zhixing and his family with ridicule in their eyes. They wanted to see how the third son of the Jiang family would respond. Jiang Zhixing was only a deputy county magistrate in charge of agriculture. He had only been in office for a few months. What kind of big shots could he know? A small county magistrate couldn't be compared to a director with real power in the provincial office. The people he knew were on a different level. Second aunt sneered and said with disdain, "Knowledge executor's starting point is too low. Xianxia County is a godforsaken place. What kind of achievements can he make? What kind of big shots can he know?" Hearing this, Zhang Wanqing frowned and said, "Zhixing, didn't the Guo family of Nanyang invest in the county? I'm afraid we won't be able to invite them." Jiang Zhixing shook his head bitterly. When Guo Lily decided to invest, it was indeed because of him, and the credit was also given to him. But from then on she never showed her face in Xianxia County again. She only sent a few executives here to build factories. Moreover, the Guo family was the god of wealth. The leaders of the county could not wait to flatter them, so how would they dare to trouble them? "Zhixing, you have to understand that if the water is too clear, there will be no fish. It's not enough to rely on the pride of a scholar. You have to build a good relationship with all parties. Look, the Guo family is investing in your county and you can't even invite them. This ability TSK. Second aunt shook her head, her face full of sorrow and anger. She clicked her tongue and pursed her lips. "That's right, third uncle. You worked for 20 years and only became a deputy director. Look, Sister Xianxia has only worked for a few years and she is already a deputy director. You're rising too slowly like a turtle." Jiang Chao also pursed his lips and chattered. His eyebrows were raised to the point that they almost flew to the sky. Suddenly, everyone began to mock and advise Jiang Zhixing. Even Jiang Chao, a junior, began to criticize Jiang Zhixing. The Jiang Xianxia he was referring to was the daughter of his eldest uncle, Jiang Qingfeng's younger sister. This woman graduated from Shuimu University with a degree in finance. She was now the deputy director of the investment department of the Provincial Investment Corporation. According to her position, she was also a deputy director. She was one of the best among the third-generation children. Hearing this, Jiang Zhixing's face was full of embarrassment. He was originally happy that he had been promoted, but who would have thought that in the eyes of his brothers, sisters-in-law, and even these juniors, he was climbing at the speed of a turtle. He couldn't even compare to his niece, which made him seem even more stupid. Zhang Wanqing, who had a strong personality, was even more livid. It was as if a layer of frost had covered her face. She was about to retort when she heard a voice full of arrogance and coldness. "What's a mere city hall level official? If I say the word, my dad will be at his fingertips. It's just that my dad wants to rely on his own achievements and doesn't want to be opportunistic." "What did you say?" Everyone looked at Jiang Tian in unison, and they all sucked in a breath of cold air, not daring to believe it. This was too arrogant. The city hall level official was a high position and many people were eyeing it. The competition was fierce, but for Jiang Tian, it was like taking something out of his pocket. Suddenly, Jiang Chao, who had been pouting for a long time, spat out a mouthful of tea on the table, causing everyone to scream and curse. Jiang Chao apologized and wiped the table. He looked at Zhao Xueqing and asked, "Sister-in-law Qing'e, I heard from Lin Zhou's friend that my brother Tian has lost his mind. Is this true?" "What's the matter, Qing'e?" Zhang Wanqing also felt a little strange. For more than half a year she couldn't contact Jiang Tian. Every time it was Qing'e who answered the phone. In fact, Zhao Xueqing could have avoided it, but she sincerely believed that she didn't take good care of Jiang Tian. She was already full of guilt and didn't want to hide it at this time. "Dad, Mom, it's my fault." Jiang Tian had alcohol poisoning once and his brain wasn't very good for a period of time, but it's been cured now. What? Jiang Tian's brain is damaged? It's so serious. No wonder he said such things. His brain isn't normal. Everyone came to a sudden realization and cried out in surprise. They looked at Jiang Tian with a complicated gaze. There was scrutiny, sympathy, ridicule, disdain, gloating, and so on. Zhang Wanqing felt sorry for Jiang Tian. Her face was pale and she was also a little dissatisfied with Qing'e. Jiang Zhixing felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. His son's behavior was really laughable. He was too ignorant and incompetent. He was simply a lunatic. He slammed the table and gritted his teeth. "Drinking can damage your brain? What do you want me to say to you? Jiang Tian is not crazy. He's a master. How can he be crazy?" Jiang Lin suddenly stood up and spoke for Jiang Tian. "Shut up." Second uncle scolded sternly. "If he's not crazy, why would he say such nonsense?" Jiang Lin's face was bitter and she didn't dare to speak anymore. "Jiang Tian, don't talk nonsense, especially at the old man's birthday banquet. Don't attend it. Don't make a fool of yourself." Jiang Shoren's authority was very strong. He suppressed his anger and slammed the table. Jiang Qingfeng looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and snorted in his heart. "Trash, now you know the consequences of being arrogant." Jiang Chao didn't forget to add insult to injury. He shook his head and said, "I was wondering why he was so arrogant that he didn't even take Yu Chong seriously. Turns out that he is crazy. He even won a sports car from Yu Chong this morning." "What? Is he the son of Secretary Yu of the Political and Legal Committee?" Everyone turned pale with fright when they heard this. They turned to look at Jiang Tian in unison, their faces filled with disbelief. "Isn't that so?" Jiang Chao picked his teeth lazily and sneered. "When I was gambling on stones, I met young Master Chong a few times. I wanted to introduce him to cousin Qingfeng. But after Yu Chong lost the sports car, his eyes were murderous. Later, I brought brother Qingfeng to 6 Dynasty's residence to find him, but he ignored me. Guilin was also there." Jiang Chao recounted everything that had happened from beginning to end. "Qingfeng, is what Jiang Chao said true?" Jiang Shuren asked sternly. "It's true." Jiang Qingfeng sighed regretfully. Bang! Jiang Shuren slammed the table and trembled with anger. He pointed at Jiang Tian and said, "This is such a rare opportunity, but it was ruined by this guy. Even Jiang Chao knows how to make friends with them, but you—" Great Aunt was so angry that her hands were trembling. Jiang Zhixing quickly said, "Brother, don't worry. Xiao Tian said that he will return the car. He has already offended them. What's the use of returning it?" Jiang Shuren said angrily. "Why should I return it to him? It's such a simple principle to admit defeat. Uncle, don't you understand? I'm giving him face by accepting a car from him. He can't wait to curry favor with me." Jiang Tian sipped his tea and said leisurely. Jiang Shuren was so angry that his face turned pale. He covered his chest with a painful expression and went to find the small medicine bottle with trembling hands. He almost had a heart attack. "Don't be angry, don't be angry. Don't lower yourself to his level." Great Aunt quickly fed him the medicine. After rubbing his chest for a while, Jiang Shuren's face returned to normal. "How dare you say that your uncle doesn't understand reason? What are you talking about?" Jiang Yongming was so angry that his face turned pale. He pointed at Jiang Tian and said, "You're crazy. Apologize to your uncle now." "That's right. Kid, you have no respect for your elders. You don't even listen to your uncle." Second uncle echoed. "Apologize now." Great Aunt also scolded. You're not even as good as Jiang Chao. No matter how much of a jerk Jiang Chao is, he just eats, drinks and plays. He never causes trouble. But what about you? Not only did you offend that Yanjing young master, but now that you're back you're causing trouble again. Great Aunt's face was full of sorrow and anger. Jiang Tian, you're really wrong this time. Jiang Qingfeng shook his head and sighed. His eyes were full of schadenfreude. You won a car, but how much is that? And the losses that will come from offending Yu Chong are immeasurable. You're losing the big picture for the small. Apologize. Jiang Bangxia, Jiang Chao and the other third-generation descendants roared. They hated Jiang Tian so much that they wanted to pull out his tendons and skin him alive to vent their hatred. What's wrong with you? Why are you scaring Uncle Jiang Tian? Jiang Weiner was so scared that she burst into tears. Great Aunt pulled her over and scolded, stay away from him in the future. He'll teach you bad things. Apologize now. Many members of the Jiang family looked at Jiang Tian, who was sitting at the end of the table. Their eyes were full of anger, contempt, ridicule and hatred. Jiang Zhixing was angry and sad at the same time. He was completely disappointed in Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian, you're too disappointing. How much more trouble are you going to cause? How many times can I help you clean up the mess? At this time even Zhang Wanqing was speechless. Jiang Tian's mistake was indeed difficult to make up for and clean up. At this moment, only Zhao Xueqing still stood firmly on Jiang Tian's side. She was about to speak up for him. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian spoke first. Who does he think he is? Is he worthy of me apologizing to him? Everyone was stunned, their faces filled with disbelief. They were already used to reprimanding Jiang Tian. They did not expect that Jiang Tian would actually retort so forcefully. Chapter 202. What did you say? Jiang Qingfeng slammed the table angrily. He didn't expect Jiang Tian to openly offend everyone. After I sat down, I heard all of you talking about currying favor with those in power, climbing up to those in power and taking advantage of opportunities. Jiang Tian's face was calm. He sipped his tea and said slowly, but can a big family rely on these to stand tall? You know, to forge iron one must be strong. Instead of working hard to strengthen oneself, you only know how to climb up the social ladder and borrow the strength of others. Don't you know that if you're not strong enough, the mountains will collapse and the trees will run away? Jiang Tian's words were like a heavy slap to everyone's faces, causing their faces to flush red and feel extremely embarrassed. How could he say something like that? Jiang Zhixing looked at Jiang Tian with a slightly stunned gaze, not daring to believe it. It was as if his heartstrings had been plucked by Jiang Tian's words. He felt a resonance from the depths of his soul. What did you say? Jiang Shuren was dumbfounded and looked at Jiang Tian in a flurry. I said you're just frogs at the bottom of a well. You don't know the truth of this world. Your methods are just scratching an itch. They can't save the Jiang family. Jiang Tian said calmly. This world is originally a bloody and cruel forest. When you meet a tiger or a lion, it's useless no matter how much you kowtow. You can't change your fate of being eaten. Please work harder and be as tough as my grandfather and my father. Show your sharp fangs and don't kneel anymore. However, at this time you definitely won't understand. Everything will be left to time. What did you say? Shock, shame, anger and many other emotions flashed across Jiang Shuren's face. He couldn't believe his ears. Forget it, I'm full. You guys eat slowly. Jiang Tian stood up and Zhao Xueqing immediately followed. Jiang Lin hesitated for a moment before she said softly, I'm full as well. Take your time. Seeing her go out with Jiang Tian, Jiang Yangming shouted, Jiang Lin, what are you doing with him? Come back. But Jiang Tian turned a deaf ear to him. She did not even turn her head back. She straightened her back stubbornly, as if she were a warrior who was ready to die with Jiang Tian. Outside the private kitchen. The vegetation was luxuriant, the air was fresh and the night was cool like water. The oppressive atmosphere was swept away, causing one's heart to feel extremely carefree. Jiang Tian, what you said just now was really satisfying. Jiang Lin carried her handbag and followed Jiang Tian's footsteps. As they walked towards the parking lot, the waves of shock in her heart gradually calmed down. Seeing that Jiang Tian's expression was a little heavy, Jiang Lin turned her head and whispered, Are you regretting it? You're not afraid, are you? You're contradicting uncle and the others like this. Do you have the confidence to suppress them? It's not because of them. Jiang Tian looked at her worried face and said with a heavy heart, "There's a photographer in Hong Kong who took a lot of photos that are not suitable for children and they were leaked. One of them is a female celebrity that I like." According to the Gregorian calendar, the year 2008 was already here. Jiang Tian felt as if time was passing by like sand, and time was passing by quickly. On January 28th, a photographer with the surname Chen appeared in Hong Kong. Looking at the stunned Jiang Lin, Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "If you have any resources, send them to my email." After Jiang Tian and Qing'er got into the car and drove away, Jiang Lin was still standing there with her eyes wide open. After a while, Jiang Lin's angry roar came from the dimly lit street. "Damn it! This time you almost angered them to death by going all out against them. I was so nervous that I almost died. You still have the mood to think about this? Just how perverted are you?" The next morning, the purple qi came from the east. Jiang Tian woke up early and sat cross-legged in the courtyard of the mansion. "Jiang Tian." Jiang Zhixing walked over and sipped tea from a purple sand cup. "What's the matter, Dad?" Jiang Tian opened his eyes, exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and sized up his father. "What you said yesterday was very true. Could be said that it was very domineering and penetrating." Jiang Zhixing said a little bashfully, "I shouldn't have said that, but you know. I'm just trying to unite our family." The next moment he was a little angry again. "But some things have to be said under different circumstances. You have to learn how to behave. Can't you be a little more mature?" "Oh, I'll remember." Jiang Tian's eyes were as clear as a lake in autumn. "Besides, you know what I mean, but it's still a problem to put it into practice. You have to make some achievements." Seeing Jiang Tian's disapproving look, Jiang Zhixing immediately raised his voice and lectured him earnestly. "If you don't make any achievements, these words are all nonsense. They are all empty words. Also, at the old master's birthday banquet, you must be more sensible. Greet all your friends well, be polite and neither servile nor overbearing. Also, you must apologize to your grandfather and beg for his forgiveness. If you do well, I'll reward you with a sports car." I know. Jiang Tian was annoyed. His father had liked to nag him since he was in elementary school. In the next few days, the Jiang family took action in all aspects. They sent out invitations, booked banquets, and decorated the venue. It was very lively. However, other than his parents, no one else in the Jiang family got in touch with Jiang Tian. It seemed that the younger generation had been strictly forbidden by their parents to get in touch with Jiang Tian. A crack appeared between Jiang Tian and the Jiang family. As for Jiang Tian, he didn't care about it at all. He strolled around with Zhao Xueqing and tasted the snacks. Finally, on this day, the 70th birthday banquet of Jiang Chongging, the master of Chinese medicine in Lingnan, was about to be held. The Jiang Manor under Qixia County was participating in his grandfather's birthday banquet. The Jiang family had been practicing medicine for generations. Jiang Chongging graduated from the Jinling Academy of Traditional Chinese Medicine. He worked in the Jinling Academy of Traditional Chinese Medicine, the Jiangsu Province Traditional Chinese Medicine Association, the Provincial Health Department, and the Provincial Health Committee. Although his position wasn't high, the Provincial Health Committee was a small imperial medical hall in Jiangsu Province that specialized in providing medical services to the provincial leaders. His medical skills were superb and his medical ethics were noble. He formed deep friendships with many leaders. The Jiang family relied on a few prescriptions to grow into the famous Medicine King group. Zhang Wanqing's ability in business was needless to say, but Jiang Chongging's connections in the province were indispensable. Because of Jiang Chongging's connections in Jinling and the Medicine King group, the descendants of the Jiang family also developed well. Many of them held important positions in the province, and with Jiang Chongging as the core, they formed the Jiang family of Jinling. Although the Jiang family only had a few decades of history and wasn't considered a top family, they were at least ranked in the top 30 in Jinling. Jiang Chongging was an old-school intellectual. He liked Confucius and Mencius. He was honest and paid attention to filial piety. Every year on his birthday he would hold a birthday banquet in his hometown Jiang Manor. He would invite the centenarians in the same village to drink a cup of wine and worship the ancestors to remember the ancestors and inspire the younger generation. Around 8 in the morning Jiang Manor. Many of the younger generation in Jiangzhuang were able to get a job in the Medicine King group, big or small, and that was a generous salary. As a result, Jiang Manor became a wealthy village. Every family built a small house and drove a car. Their lives were sweeter than honey. Under a big locust tree by the road at the entrance of the village, several strong men in suits and bright red ties, their hair shiny with mousse, stood or squatted, smoking and chatting. Some of them were employees of the Medicine King group while others were laborers in the village. They were here to welcome the guests. Later, if you see a license plate of Linzhou, you must stop it. It is most likely Jiang Tian's car. Especially the Chevrolet. A brawny man named Dia Jiang said. His full name was Daong Jiang. His 2 front teeth were very conspicuous, hence his name. He had served in the military for a few years and then became the head of security at the Medicine King group. He married a receptionist and became his wife. In everyone's eyes, Dia Jiang was a man who had been to a big city and had seen the world. He was also the backbone of the village. Brother Dia, what if he doesn't want to do it? A young man asked. Just beat him up. Dia Jiang flashed his buck teeth and said with disdain. He is the son of the 3rd son of the Jiang family. If we beat him up and the news got out. Everyone looked at each other for a while. Hey, you guys don't know. This guy is useless in the Jiang family. He has offended the big shots in Yanjin. He has been kicked out of the family by the old man. Dia Jiang took out a plastic comb and combed his parted hair. He said with disdain. He hasn't attended the old man's birthday party for 3 years. Don't you guys know? Everyone nodded to show that they knew. Since he was kicked out of the family, he should have taken his mother's last name. He is no longer a member of the Jiang family. Dia Jiang tidied his hair meticulously, then shook his head and said disdainfully as if he knew what was going on. He is no better than a dog in the Jiang family. He has no right to attend the banquet. I don't know what's wrong with him this year, but he insisted on coming back. The old man even agreed. The old man spoils him too much. If you ask me, a troublemaker like him should just break his legs and forbid him from entering the Jiang family. A man said angrily. Jiang Tian once went back to the farm for a vacation and climbed through their window to peek at his wife taking a bath. At that time, Jiang Tian was already 13 or 14 years old. He was not a child anymore. That made him feel bad. Anyway, young Master Qing Feng said that whoever stops Jiang Tian will be rewarded handsomely. Dia Jiang opened the trunk of the car next to him, opened a box of soft Zhonghua cigarettes and threw one to each of them. The men were beaming with joy. Suddenly, one of them pointed at a Chevrolet speeding towards them and said, "Ah, Linzhou's license plate." Jiang Tian. Those with good eyesight had already seen the delicate face in the back seat. Stop the car. Stop the car. Dia Jiang took the lead and rushed over. He stretched out his arms and said arrogantly, "What are they doing?" Xin Mange, who was driving, looked suspicious. "Turn off the engine." Jiang Tian said calmly. "My grandfather said that when the Jiang family arrives at the entrance of Jiang village, they must get off the car and walk. This is to show how much they value their hometown." Xin Mange stopped the car. Jiang Tian got off the car and walked forward hand in hand with Zhou Xian. "Don't go in," Dia Jiang said arrogantly. Chapter 203. Why? Zhou Xian looked at him suspiciously. He. Dia Jiang bit his cigarette and showed his yellow teeth. He tilted his head and looked at Jiang Tian from the corner of his eyes. Young Master Qing Feng has ordered that Jiang Tian's name has been removed from the family tree. He is no longer a member of the Jiang family. From now on, he is not allowed to step into Jiang Manor. Who does Jiang Qing Feng think he is? We came to the Jiang Manor with the permission of the old master. Zhou Xian looked angry and shouted. That's none of my business. Anyway, young Master Qing Feng is the CEO of the Medicine King group. As the leader of the security team, I will listen to him. Leave now and don't make me do it. Dia Jiang rolled up his sleeves and threatened them. The few men were also rubbing their fists, looking like they were going to beat him up if he didn't get out of here. At this moment, a cold voice sounded like the whisper of a devil. Who dares to stop me today? The voice was low and cold. It was like the voice of the king of hell came from the depths of hell. It was also like the voice of a devil. Dia Jiang was so shocked that he trembled. When he saw that it was Zhang Tian who spoke, he smiled disdainfully. Kid, you are not a member of the Zhang family anymore. Why are you still so arrogant? Today I said that you are not allowed to enter, so you are not allowed to enter. Try me if you dare. By the time he spoke, many of the men had already pulled out iron rods, picks and the like from the trunk. Mange beat them up. Zhang Tian smiled faintly. His eyes were full of contempt as if he was looking at ants. Yes, master. Shin Mange dashed out like an arrow. She was as graceful as a swan and as agile as a dragon. Her fists and palms struck violently. After a few muffled and crisp sounds, the men flew out like scarecrows and fell into the paddy fields on both sides of the road in different postures. Their bodies were covered with mud and their faces were covered with blood. They groaned in pain and looked miserable. Hiss. This little girl's skills are actually so powerful. Only Big Tooth Jiang was left gasping in shock. He stood alone in the middle of the road, feeling lost in the wind. Seeing Shin Mange approaching, he retreated with fear in his eyes and threatened in a trembling voice, "Don't come over. How dare you hit me? I'm the head of the security department of the Medicine King Group. I'm a middle-level employee. This one I will do it myself." Zhang Tian spat into his hands. In a flash he appeared in front of Dia Jiang. "What are you trying to do?" This sentence was still hidden in Dia Jiang's mouth and had yet to be spat out along with his saliva. Zhang Tian had already raised his right hand and slammed it down fiercely. Pop! With a crisp sound, Dia Jiang was sent flying 7 to 8 meters away by the slap and landed heavily on the ground. He was completely dazed from the beating. He definitely did not expect Zhang Tian to have such great strength. Moreover, this trash who was kicked out of the family actually dared to hit him. Zhang Tian took a silk handkerchief from Shin Mange and wiped his hands carefully. Looking at Dia Jiang who was groaning on the ground, he said softly, "You also know that I'm a playboy and domineering. Then don't come and provoke me. It seems that I haven't been back for a long time and you've already forgotten my style." Dia Jiang was lying on the ground miserably. Half of his teeth and 2 of his front teeth had fallen out. His mouth was full of holes and blood was bubbling out of it. He looked at Zhang Tian in great shock. Zhang Tian smiled sarcastically and said, "Then today I'll leave a deep impression on you. Although I don't abuse my servants, I'm happy to let you know what a playboy is like. I really don't know what you guys are thinking. Do you think that I don't dare or can't bear to hit you? You seem to have forgotten your identity. You're just a dog of the Jiang family. If I hit you now, would you dare to bite me back? You can only endure it. Maybe you can cry to your master Qing Feng? It's okay, it's up to you. Also, pass on a message for me. If he dares to stop me, I'll slap him too." After leisurely saying these words, Zhang Tian also wiped his hands clean, as if the handkerchief had been dirted by Dia Jiang. He raised his hand and threw it on Dia Jiang's face, then walked into Jiang Manor. Unfortunately, Zhang Tian stepped on Dia Jiang's palm, and it seemed that he even slightly crushed it. Ugh! It hurt so much. Dia Jiang's whole body was convulsing. He bared his teeth and howled miserably. His voice could be heard from 2 miles away. When Zhang Tian lifted his foot, his right hand was badly mutilated. Even the white bones were exposed. Looking at Zhang Tian's departing figure and the bloody footprints he left on the ground, many of the men couldn't help but reveal a horrified expression. They stood there in a daze, unable to recover from their shock for a long time. They thought that after being expelled from the family for a few years, he should have restrained himself. But in fact it was not like that at all. A devil incarnate left, but a great devil god who was 10 times more powerful and ruthless came back. On the east side of the Jiang Manor, there was a mansion with 3 entrances and 3 exits. A couplet was pasted on the door, "I hope that no one in the world is sick." At this time the mansion was very lively. Colorful canopies were set up and red lights were hung high. The chef hired from a 5-star hotel in Jinling City and the village's nimble young ladies were slaughtering chickens and fish under the canopy to prepare meals. Inside and outside the courtyard there were children setting off firecrackers. The loud sound would definitely attract a lot of scolding from their parents. The adults were scattered around the courtyard. Some were calling their relatives and friends and some were smoking and chatting with each other. It was very lively. At the entrance of the alley on the west side of the village, there was an old man in his twilight years. He was wearing a red satin tang suit and had a slightly hunched back. He leaned on a walking stick and looked anxiously in the direction of the village entrance, coughing non-stop. "Grandpa, you should go back. I'm afraid the guests won't be here until noon. It's cold outside. Your health is more important." Jiang Qingfeng supported the old man and said anxiously. He was dressed in a well-tailored suit. The seams of his trousers were as straight as a knife. He was tall and straight. His face was handsome and his eyes were deep. His temperament was calm and mature. "Where's Jiang Tian? Call him and tell him to drive carefully." Jiang Chongqing didn't seem to hear Jiang Qingfeng's advice. His dim old eyes were looking into the distance. At this time Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Bangxia looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. "Grandpa, why did you let him come back? He caused such a big trouble and put our Jiang family in a passive position. It's good enough that we didn't beat him to death." Jiang Bangxia said with a coquettish face and dissatisfaction. She was jealous. Jiang Tian was ignorant and incompetent. He was a good-for-nothing. He only got 300 points in the college entrance examination and went to a third-rate garbage school. After all, each of the 9 sons of the dragon was different. Almost every big family would have a few good-for-nothings. They would just have a nominal position in the family company, get some money and live peacefully with each other. The key point was that Jiang Tian's personality was also very bad. He was arrogant, domineering and impulsive. He often caused trouble in Jinling and left the family a mess that couldn't be cleaned up. Later he even recklessly hit the young master of Yanjing and caused such a big trouble that the whole Jiang family was affected. At the birthday banquet preparation party a few days ago, he even talked nonsense and didn't even take his father seriously. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. But Grandpa still cared about such a good-for-nothing. "What are you talking about?" Jiang Chongqing finally looked back at the two at this time. His face seemed to be a little unhappy. Jiang Bangxia quickly lowered her head but secretly pouted. In fact, she was not convinced at all. Driving Jiang Tian out of the family was a show for outsiders. It was really a helpless action. A trace of bitterness appeared on Jiang Chongqing's face. He said earnestly, "In any case, Jiang Tian is my grandson and your cousin. He is connected by blood and can't be separated. You have to be united and help each other. Remember the principle that brothers are of one heart and their sharpness can cut through gold." "Yes, Grandpa." Jiang Qingfeng nodded with a smile and waited patiently with his grandfather. "Grandpa." Suddenly a familiar call came. Jiang Chongqing's eyes were red. He vaguely saw a tall figure walking quickly from a distance. He stretched out his hand as if to catch something. He looked into the distance and said in a choked voice, "Is Shaoan back?" "Grandpa, I'm back." A pair of warm hands grabbed his hand. Jiang Chongqing threw away his crutches and touched his head. He carefully looked at the young man in front of him. Tears rolled down his face and he said in a trembling voice, "Good. It's good that you're back. You're a little thin but you're stronger." "Grandpa." Zhou Xueqing also quickly followed. She bowed and greeted him sweetly. Then she and Jiang Tian supported Jiang Chongqing. "My daughter, I've made you suffer." Jiang Chongqing tremblingly took out something wrapped in red silk from his pocket and handed it to Zhou Xueqing. He said with a smile, "Thank you for coming so far to see this old man. This was left by Jiang Tian's grandmother. I'll give it to you as a small gift." "Thank you, Grandpa." Zhou Xueqing opened it. It was a pair of jade bracelets. They were crystal clear and had excellent water quality. Looking at the carvings, it should be an antique. That dragon and phoenix jade bracelet. "Grandpa, this is our family heirloom. How can you give it to her?" Jiang Bangxia's face was full of jealousy. Her eyes were red. This bracelet was an antique passed down from her grandmother. It was worth millions. She used to beg her grandparents for this treasure on her birthday every year, but they never gave it to her. They didn't even let her take a look at it. But now they gave it to an outsider. Jiang Bangxia really couldn't stand it. Zhou Xueqing also quickly said, "Grandpa, this is too precious. You should keep it. My daughter, this is what you deserve. Take it." Jiang Chongqing smiled kindly. When they entered the mansion and just walked under the colorful canopy, Jiang Yongming immediately greeted them. He frowned and said, "Dad, why did you go out? Several distinguished guests are waiting in the inner hall." Jiang Chongqing grabbed a handful of candies for Zhou Xueqing. He smiled kindly and said, "You guys eat some fruits and melon seeds here. I'm going to meet the guests." "Grandpa, go in quickly. It's cold outside." Jiang Qingfeng supported the old man and walked inside. He didn't even bother to look at Jiang Tian. Jiang Bangxia also walked inside. She didn't forget to look at Jiang Tian with disdain as if to say, "See, you're not qualified to go in." In the inner hall, only distinguished guests, second-generation children, and the best of the third-generation children, Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Bangxia, could enter. Jiang Lin and Jiang Chao were not qualified. The difference between them was too big. Although Jiang Chongqing loved and pitied Jiang Tian, he also knew that being so obviously biased towards Jiang Tian would cause dissatisfaction. Jiang Tian was not in a hurry. He drank tea with Zhou Xian and chatted about all kinds of interesting things. Although Xin Mange was very beautiful, she wore big sunglasses that covered most of her face. No one noticed her. "Jiang Tian, don't be envious. When your dad becomes a provincial official like you said, you can go in." Next to them, Jiang Chao, who was having fun with several little brothers of the same clan, raised his chin toward the inner hall and said with a cigarette in his mouth. Chapter 204. "So what? If I want to go, I can go in at any time." Jiang Tian said disdainfully. "Damn, brother Tian, your mental illness is very serious. You haven't recovered yet. Sister Qinga, where is his medicine?" Jiang Chao was already used to Jiang Tian's craziness and laughed exaggeratedly. Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered to say anything. Zhou Xian's personality was gentle and she also endured silently. But Xin Mange couldn't listen to it anymore. She frowned and shouted coldly, "You are the one who is sick." "Crazy. What did you say?" "I'm sick. If it weren't for the fact that you are a woman, I would have slapped you long ago." Jiang Chao immediately stood up and cursed with an evil look on his face. When he saw her and Jiang Tian together, he only thought that she was Zhou Xian's secretary or best friend. Jiang Chao even looked down on Jiang Tian and his wife. How could he take her seriously? "You are courting death." Xin Mange, who was peeling melon seeds, raised her eyebrows. With a few chi-chi-chi sounds, the melon seeds in her hand flew up and down like butterflies. They refracted in a curve and hit several major acupoints on Jiang Chao's body. "Who has toilet paper?" Jiang Chao only felt a burst of madness. His eyes bulged and cold sweat broke out. He clamped his legs and twisted his body to run. Toilet. But he only ran a few meters. Only to hear a few chi-chi-chi sounds. A pungent smell filled the air. His trousers were soaked and some of it flowed out. I couldn't help it." Jiang Chao suddenly wanted to cry. His face was red with shame. If there was a crack in the ground at this time, he would definitely jump in without hesitation and disappear in front of everyone. Everyone was dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Jiang Chao was too arrogant. How could he be so willful at the old master's birthday banquet? Was it really like what this woman said, that he was mentally ill? "You are mentally ill, right? If you are not crazy, how can you be like this?" Xin Mange said with a mocking face. Jiang Chao didn't have the chance to explain himself. He ran into a room to take a shower and change his clothes with a foul stench. "Following Jiang Tian is really bad. You've made him as miserable as Ji Wang's son." Zhou Xian covered her mouth and laughed, saying in a sweet voice, "Elder sister Man Gu, you're really amazing." "Petty tricks." Xin Mange smiled faintly, but the pride in the depths of her eyes could not be concealed. With just a few pointers from Jiang Tian, she had already broken through to the transcendent state. Although she couldn't release genuine qi, she could at least control objects with qi. She finally understood why Zimu and Reverend Silvermoon had tried so hard to persuade her to become Jiang Tian's maid. He was indeed too powerful and too deep. He was like a vast ocean, and just by casually scooping out a few basins of water, he would be able to drink until his belly was round. "Petty tricks. What's so good about that? You missed the Dazui acupoint," Jiang Tian said with a serious expression. Xin Mange was deeply hurt. She was so frustrated that she wanted to cry but had no tears. "Master Kong, can you not be so demanding? It's already hard enough for me to break through to the transcendent state in just 1 or 2 months. Jiang ran his back. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the entrance. Many people in the Jiang Manor stood up and looked at the entrance. They saw a young man with a powerful aura walk in through the entrance. He was about 27 or 28 years old. He stood tall and straight, wearing a military uniform. His short hair made him look energetic. His eyes were sharp and his face was resolute. Although Jiang Ran and Old Master Jiang are not related to each other in terms of ability, he is on par with Jiang Bangxia and young Master Qing Feng. Yeah, I heard that he has the potential to practice martial arts. He was taken in as a disciple by a master in the martial arts world. He even joined the military. Yeah, I heard that it's not an ordinary military unit, but the Eastern Excalibur Special Force. Look at his military rank. He is already a major, which is equivalent to a deputy divisional leader. He is so outstanding. His future is limitless. How did he get promoted so quickly? That unit is not ordinary. They specialize in fighting against terrorists. It's easy for him to gain merit. He has earned 2 second-class merit awards in the unit. Many villagers of the Jiang Manor came forward to smoke and chat. The older ones were envious and hated that their children were not as outstanding as Jiang Ran. The younger ones were full of admiration and respect as if they were looking at an idol. Jiang Ran was a talkative person. He called everyone uncle, and said that Jiang Chongqing had treated him when he was young, so he took a leave of absence to celebrate his grandfather's birthday and celebrate the spring festival. Suddenly his gaze fell onto Jiang Tian and his face turned gloomy. He walked over unhurriedly and sneered, "Jiang Tian, you hit Uncle Big Teeth?" Jiang Tian hit someone again. Everyone then noticed that Jiang Tian was standing at the door, trembling. He was staring at Jiang Tian with fear and resentment. There were a few clear fingerprints on his face. It was swollen like a steamed bun. The right side of his face had collapsed miserably, and half of his teeth had fallen out. Big Tooth is Jiang Ran's third uncle. Yeah, if it was in the past, Jiang Tian was the crown prince of the Medicine King group. It's okay to hit him, but it's different now. That's right. Jiang Tian is now a man with a few bars on his shoulders, but Jiang Tian was kicked out of the family. Don't worry about that. Just the fact that Jiang Tian hit someone is wrong. No matter what, Big Tooth is his elder. That's right, this is too disrespectful. Many of the villagers present were all pointing at Jiang Tian and discussing animatedly. Some were heartbroken, some had faces full of resentment, and some were suspicious. But no matter what kind of expression they had, they all believed that Jiang Tian had caused a great disaster today. He hit him. Jiang Tian was peeling sunflower seeds for Qing'er. His face was calm and at ease. He said indifferently, "But what kind of uncle is he? What does he have to do with me? He's just a dog that bites people." Other than his closest relatives and friends who had helped him in his previous life, Jiang Tian did not care much about blood relations. In the galaxy, Jiang Tian had reconstructed his body and could transform at will. So Jiang Tian did not care about these unrelated clansmen. "Jiang Tian, you're so arrogant." When Jiang Ran heard that, he was so angry that his face turned white. His whole body trembled. He came from a poor family. When he was young, his family was so poor that they did not even have enough to eat. He had suffered the ridicule and disdain of the villagers. This time, when he returned to the village after being promoted, he could be said to have returned to his hometown in glory. Today this uncle came to him with gifts and begged him to let his child join his army. Tomorrow his childhood friend invited him to a banquet. He was very respectful to him. It could be said that his prestige had been established in the village, and he was very respected. It was very different from before. But he did not expect that Jiang Tian would still be so arrogant. He even called his third uncle a dog. At this time Jiang Qingfeng walked out. He looked at Jiang Tian and said, "Jiang Ran, what's wrong?" "Just a small matter." Jiang Ran smiled when he saw Jiang Qingfeng. He patted his shoulder affectionately. "Jiang Ran, I haven't seen you for a few years. You've become extraordinary. I heard that you've joined the Eastern Godly Sword sect." Jiang Qingfeng glanced at Jiang Dia, who was far away. He already had some understanding, but he did not act on the spot. Instead he shook hands with Jiang Ran and chatted. "You're not bad yourself. I heard that you're already in charge of the family company." Jiang Ran laughed. "It's all thanks to everyone's support," Jiang Qingfeng said politely. His face was full of joy as he said, "Go in. The old man invites you to the inner hall to talk." Jiang Ran is amazing. He actually got Jiang Qingfeng to personally welcome him. He even has the chance to enter the inner hall. The old man likes to guide the younger generation. Jiang Ran is too outstanding. Even if he's a collateral descendant, he has already entered the old man's vision. That's right. The Jiang family's medical skills are passed down through the family. Poetry, calligraphy, and etiquette are the ultimate. As long as you work hard and know how to work hard, you will definitely be able to succeed. Just like some people. Even if they're a direct descendant, they've always run amok. Now they can only sit outside with us. Many people present sighed and were very envious. Under Jiang Ran's contrast, they naturally felt even more disdain for Jiang Tian. Many people even took the opportunity to mock Jiang Tianming while teaching the younger generation a lesson. Their words were filled with sarcasm. Jiang Tian did not care about these comments at all. He just drank tea and chatted with the two women. He would laugh from time to time. In the eyes of the crowd, Jiang Tian was even more ignorant, frivolous, and useless. At this time in the inner hall, many core members of the Jiang family were drinking tea and chatting on a few rows of old-fashioned wooden armchairs. An old man sat at the head of the table. He was Jiang Tian's 9th great-uncle. He was already 100 years old and was also the oldest and most senior person in Jiangzhuang. He used to study medicine overseas. Later he gave up his pen and joined the army. He studied at Huangpu Military School and participated in the national liberation struggle. After liberation he was a division commander in the Jinling military district. He could be said to be the spiritual leader of the Jiang family. Beside him sat Jiang Chongging, who was dressed in a tang suit. Next to him were Jiang Chongging's two brothers. Further down were many middle-aged people led by Jiang Shoren. They were the mainstays of the Jiang family. Grandpa, Jiang Tian actually beat someone up during your birthday banquet. Jiang Qingfeng dragged Jiang Ran into the room and complained. He said indignantly, if he beat up someone of the same age, that's fine. But he beat up Uncle Big Tooth. What? He actually has no respect for his elders? Uncle Big Tooth has been loyal ever since he became the head of the security department. Back then he even took a bullet for our Jiang family. Uncle Big Tooth is Big Brother Jiang Ran's biological third uncle. Jiang Tian, this is outrageous. How can he do this? This is too much. After hearing Jiang Qingfeng's words, everyone present felt injustice for Big Tooth Jiang. They were filled with righteous indignation toward Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian's slap was not a big deal, but it was equivalent to enraging everyone. Jiang Shuren's face was filled with anger. He was so angry that his hands were trembling. Jiang Ran was now a regimental officer. In the future the Jiang family might have to rely on him. But Jiang Tian actually caused trouble like this. Jiang Zhixing and his wife's expressions changed drastically. They could not believe it. How could Jiang Tian be so muddle-headed? What day is it today? Does he not know? He actually dared to hit someone. Only Jiang Chongging's expression was calm. He did not lose the demeanor of a noble. Chapter 205. Jiang Ran greets Grandpa Chongging. Jiang Ran bowed to Jiang Chongging 3 times. Little Ran, sit. Jiang Ran, what's going on? Jiang Chongging nodded in satisfaction. Jiang Ran straightened his back and placed his hands on his knees. He looked dignified and had the tough temperament of a soldier. He said neither humbly nor arrogantly, Grandpa, actually it's not a big deal that my third uncle got beaten up. It's not a big deal. We're family. He even helped me study and join the army. I shouldn't be calculative. Then he changed the topic and said worriedly, I'm worried about Jiang Tian. He's so reckless and impulsive. It's fine in the Jiang family and Jiang manor. Everyone spoils him. But outside, he'll be at a disadvantage. Jiang Ran, this child is amazing. 9th great-uncle Jiang Shuren, Jiang Yangming, and the others all looked at him with admiration. Jiang Ran's words were very appropriate and did not sound aggressive at all. His realm was high, but he hit the nail on the head. From the perspective of Jiang Tian's development, he wanted the old master to punish Jiang Tian. Jiang Chongging said slowly, okay, call Jiang Tian over. We'll see what he has to say. Jiang Lin walked out quickly and called Jiang Tian over. Zhang Wanqing looked worried. Jiang Zhixing said softly but sternly, Jiang Tian, you'd better admit your mistakes. Jiang Tian stood in the hall and said calmly, I came to celebrate Grandpa's birthday. He stopped me from entering the village and said that Qingfeng had already removed my name from the family tree. I can't bear the surname Jiang. He looked at Jiang Qingfeng and said calmly, Qingfeng, do you think I should be beaten? Qingfeng, is this true? Jiang Chongging's eyes flashed sharply. Grandpa, let me explain. Jiang Qingfeng's face stiffened and he was filled with hatred. Big Tooth Jiang can't do anything right. Why did he tell him what I said? Grandpa, my brother acted on his own initiative, but it's also for the sake of the Jiang family's development. Jiang Bangxia sneered. 3 years ago Jiang Tian stirred up a huge disaster. This time, before he could even warm his seat, he provoked Yu Chong in Jinling's stone gambling. If he returns to the Jiang family, won't he bring disaster to the Jiang family? Yeah. Wasn't Jiang Tian kicked out of the family? Then don't ever come in again. Yes. He's a troublemaker. What's the point of coming back? Another disciple said. Trash like him is not qualified to be a disciple of the Jiang family. Brother Qingfeng, you did the right thing. Another disciple sneered. He dared to beat up the young master of Yanjing and even offended Yu Chong. He must be tired of living. It's fine if he wants to die, but don't drag the Jiang family down with him. What a scam. There were even some disciples who were furious. Are you done? Allow this old man to say a few words. A weak but dignified voice sounded. It was Jiang Chongging who spoke. The old man's prestige was not to be underestimated. Everyone immediately shut their mouths. Qingfeng, surname and name are the basic dignity of every disciple of the Jiang family. Jiang Chongging's tone was still light at first, but gradually the anger on his face grew and his voice became louder and louder. You can't deprive Jiang Tian of his surname without a family meeting. You're just a third-generation disciple. What right do you have to deprive him of his surname? You son of a bitch. Have you lived for more than 30 years in vain? Jiang Qingfeng was so scared that his whole body trembled. He lowered his eyes and said, Grandpa, I know I'm wrong. Jiang Chongging was angry and said coldly, Jiang Zhuang is the root of the Jiang family. Today you don't let Jiang Tian in because of your own likes and dislikes. In the future someone will dare to do the same to you. I now suspect that you're so narrow-minded that you don't have the ability to control the Medicine King group. Jiang Qingfeng was speechless and uneasy. What did Jiang Tian do to deserve the old man's protection? He even began to question his own ability. Everyone present was stunned. They didn't expect the old man to be so protective of Jiang Tian. Many members of the Jiang family frowned, shook their heads and sighed, thinking that Jiang Chongging was too biased. Grandpa, how can you be so biased? Jiang Bangxia was very beautiful and spoiled. Seeing her brother being scolded in public, she felt aggrieved and said, Jiang Tian beat up the young master of Yanjing and caused a great disaster. His sin is unforgivable. It's because Grandpa treated him too lightly and indulged him that he became so arrogant. A few days ago he provoked Yu Chong again. Hearing this, Jiang Zhixing and his wife's faces stiffened and their eyes were filled with worry. This was Jiang Tian's weakness, a fact that could never be changed. Many members of the Jiang family looked at Jiang Tian coldly, gloating and shaking their heads disdainfully. You'll never be able to wash away this stain in your life. Every time it's mentioned you have to admit your mistake and admit defeat. For a moment there was silence in the hall. Everyone turned their heads to look at the old man, waiting to see what he would say. It's been 3 years and I've never talked about it. Today I have to say what I think. Jiang Chongging said in a hoarse voice with anger on his face. Many people's ears pricked up and their eyes were filled with excitement. They gloated over Jiang Tian's misfortune and looked forward to Jiang Tian's severe punishment. If Jiang Tian is guilty, then everyone here is guilty. And I, Jiang Chongging, am even more unforgivable. I should die to thank the ancestors of the Jiang family. Jiang Chongging's words made everyone's face change drastically. They were so shocked that they broke out in a cold sweat. Dad, today is your birthday. How can you say such ominous words? Jiang Tian, look, you've angered the old man so much that he's confused. Jiang Shuren, Jiang Yangming and the others were anxious. They all stood up and comforted the old man. Jiang Chongging closed his eyes. Many complicated emotions flashed across his face. He was silent for a long time as if he was recalling that day 3 years ago. I'm not confused. Jiang Chongqing calmed down again. He waved his hand and motioned for everyone to sit down. When everyone was seated again, Jiang Chongqing said slowly, "The family in Yanjing wanted to break off the engagement, not because of Jiang Tian, but because they think that our Jiang family is not worthy of their family. If the Jiang family was 10 times stronger, if we could be ranked as one of the top families in Wuxia, even if Jiang Tian was a cripple, a good-for-nothing or an idiot, they would work hard to befriend him and happily marry him instead of breaking off the engagement with Jiang Tian." Hearing this, everyone's faces turned red and their hearts jumped. I still remember that day when they came to break off the engagement. They were so mighty, arrogant, and haughty. They were like nobles of the heavens, and they looked down upon our Jiang clan like ants in dust. And you, all of you, were servile, bowing your heads and apologizing to them. Jiang Chongqing slammed the table and said angrily, "Let me ask you, what did our Jiang family do wrong? They didn't keep their promise, they broke off the engagement, they didn't respect their elders. Let me ask you, where is your backbone? Where is your courage?" Jiang Shuren's fat face was covered in cold sweat. Jiang Yongming also lowered his head, his face full of shame. When the other party proposed to break off the engagement, Jiang Tian didn't care at all. It was a follower of that so-called young master from Yanjing who dared to call me old Jiang without respect, and even asked me if I was hotter than garlic. Jiang Tian took action. Jiang Chongqing was silent for a long time. He sighed bitterly and said, "But unfortunately only Jiang Tian fought for the family's honor at that time. Maybe you think that his behavior was childish, but in my opinion at least he showed his attitude. He didn't lose his manhood, he didn't lose his courage, and he didn't lose the pride of our Jiang family's great men." Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. The old man's personality had always been mild. Who knew that there was such a fierce and ambitious heart hidden in his heart? There was actually a trace of ferocious aura. Actually, this is grandfather's true face. He's a saint on the inside and a king on the outside. He can cultivate his body righteously, but he also has the ambition to rule the country and pacify the world. Only Jiang Tian had a flash of understanding in his heart. "I should have come back to see grandfather earlier." Jiang Chongqing slowly sipped his tea, and a ray of light burst out from his eyes. He said lightly, "As the head of the family, I can't take action against a junior. But I really wanted to slap him in the face at that time. Now regarding the incident 3 years ago, I want to give Jiang Tian an objective and fair evaluation. You didn't hit him very well. Weren't there chairs and bricks at that time? Why do you have to use your hands?" Speaking of this, he squinted his eyes and smiled mischievously with a hint of slyness. The old man's words could be said to hit the nail on the head. Jiang Zhixing, Jiang Lin, and Jiang Zhixing deeply agreed and even felt enlightened. However, most people's morale had long been slack, and their hearts were not firm enough, so they didn't agree with the old man's words at all. "Sai, in this world strength is all about this. How much can integrity be worth?" Jiang Tian's actions were impressive, and the Jiang family didn't seem to lose face at that time. But now, the Jiang family is surrounded by enemies. Jiang Tian is just a good-for-nothing young master. Why would he think so much at that time and fight for the family's honor? What a joke. He just likes to fight. Grandfather is too protective of him. Just wait and see, he'll definitely become more and more arrogant, and sooner or later he'll play himself to death. Many people were whispering like this, and they were even more dissatisfied and disgusted with Jiang Tian. At this time, seeing that the atmosphere was a little cold, Uncle Jiu leaned on his walking stick with both hands, smiled kindly and said in a low and hoarse voice, "Chongqing, today is your 70th birthday. It's a happy day, so don't scold the children. It's not good to make them tremble in fear and cower in fear. I think we'd better continue to the next segment. Let the juniors kowtow and present birthday gifts." As soon as he said that, many people were still laughing, but their eyes became serious and they looked at each other. Every year the gifts presented by the juniors were very important. It was the time to show the achievements of the children and grandchildren, and everyone competed with each other. They're not young anymore, so there's no need to kowtow. Jiang Chongqing regained some of his kindness and said with a smile, "Hurry up and bring the gifts you've prepared. Let's eat, everyone. Don't starve. I wish Grandpa happiness as the East Sea and longevity as the South Mountain." Jiang Chao was the first to stand up, kneel on the ground and kowtow 3 times. Then he took a gift box from his second uncle and said, Grandpa, look. Chapter 206. The old man nodded slightly, showing a touch of kindness. He touched the yellow satin box and asked, Xianxia, what kind of treasure is this? It's heavy. Is it gold? I know you opened a bar and an antique shop. You seem to have made some money. Grandpa, I'll open it for you. Xianxia stepped forward and opened the box. Everyone looked over and couldn't help but laugh. It was a set of mahjong. They all thought that the old man liked to play mahjong when he was free. Xianxia was good at adapting to the old man's interests. Jiang Chongqing took out a piece of mahjong and touched it. He felt that the surface of the mahjong was very warm. It was like jade but not jade. The color was not new, but it was soaked and crystal clear. It was definitely not an ordinary item. He weighed it and frowned. Suddenly he was shocked. Is this made of ivory? That's illegal. As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. According to the International Convention on the Protection of Endangered Species, ivory and ivory products were prohibited by the country. There were very few of them in the market. If 136 mahjong tiles were carved from ivory, it would be worth millions. Xianxia was not flustered. He smiled faintly and said, Grandpa, don't be nervous. This is antique ivory. It can be traded. It's not illegal to collect it. There's no need to talk about its value. Xianxia said with a smile. However, this mahjong does have a bit of history. Experts and scholars have argued that this is the mahjong that Empress Dowager Cixi used to play. Jiang mahjong. Jiang mahjong that Empress Dowager Cixi used to play? Grandpa Ju was surprised and happy. He asked with a smile, the name is quite strange. Is there a story behind it? Xianxia smiled and recited the information. Because Empress Dowager Cixi was born in the year of the sheep was regarded as a sacred object in the palace where she lived. Many games were blessed with the sound of sheep, such as this Jiang mahjong. For example, in this mahjong, all the white boards are carved with a lamb, which means prosperity. Everyone looked at it. It was indeed so. On the white boards were carved with a colorful lamb. It was charmingly naive and delightful. They believed it without a doubt. Jiang Chongqing frowned and seemed a little unhappy. He said, Xianxia, it's rare for you to be so filial. You still remember Grandpa's little hobby. But this thing must have cost a lot of money, right? Everyone was worried. Jiang Chongqing was old-fashioned and thrifty. What he hated the most was his family spending money recklessly. No, I didn't spend a single cent. Xianxia smiled and said, You also know that I'm an antique shop owner. I bought it from a foreign drunkard. I heard from him that it was snatched from the old summer palace when the Eight-Nation Alliance entered Beijing. I thought to myself that it was also a national treasure. It was not a good thing for it to wander overseas, so I bought it for 50,000 yuan. According to experts, this set of mahjong is worth at least 2 million. Because only 5 of them are real Jiang mahjong tiles. The rest are antique mahjong tiles from the same era. At this point he seemed to shake his head regretfully. Not bad, not bad. Ninth great-uncle's appreciation was beyond words. He clapped his hands and praised, Xianxia is too capable. Back then foreigners bullied our Wuxia because we were poor and weak. This time Xianxia is legally and reasonably taking back what belongs to our ancestors. Xianxia, I accept this generous gift. But remember, mahjong is a toy after all. You can play it once in a while. Don't delay your work and studies. A long-lost smile appeared on Jiang Chongqing's face as he nodded. Seeing this, Jiang Yongming and his wife were overjoyed. Obviously the old man liked Xianxia even more. Many of the children were envious and some were uneasy. Xianxia's first gift was such a big one. It was a good start. Their own gifts might not have such an effect. Hey, where did Jiang Tian go? He should be offering that emperor glass type. Xianxia was also proud. He looked around trying to find a sense of superiority from Jiang Tian. However, he did not know when the kid had slipped away. Grandpa, I also have a gift for you. At this time Jiang Bangxia smiled sweetly, walked forward slowly and held out a box. Jiang Chongqing nodded and opened the box. Ninth great-uncle laughed and said, Oh, a little golden man. It's fun. Everyone looked over and saw a palm-sized golden man in the box. The golden man's 4 limbs, head, neck and even eyeballs could move. It was very exquisite. Moreover, it was covered with dense pinholes, which coincided with human acupuncture points and meridians. Jiang Bangxia looked at Jiang Zhixing and his wife proudly. She immediately looked away and said with a smile, "This is a bronze meridian acupuncture point man from the Qing dynasty. Although it is made of gold, the meridians in the body are alive and there is mercury in the meridians. As long as the acupuncture points are pierced and the mechanism is activated, the mercury will impact. His eyeballs will roll and his lips can move, making strange sounds. It's like a living thing, very fun." At this time, Jiang Zhixing's face was heavy as he sighed. Zhang Wanqing's face was also pale. "Sigh, the gifts we prepared were too far away." If Jiang Chao's gift was considered to be unambitious, then Jiang Bangxia's gift could be said to be exactly what the old master wanted. The old man had been practicing medicine all his life, and his knowledge of Chinese medicine had reached the point of obsession. Wenji. Sure enough, Jiang Chongqing couldn't put it down. He looked at the bottom of the bronze man's feet and suddenly exclaimed, "Handmade! Oh my God!" He exclaimed and found it hard to believe. He trembled with excitement and said, "This was made by Wuxia, the great doctor of the Qing dynasty and the chief of the medical sect Golden Mirror. His courtesy name is Wenji. This is a good thing. How did you get it?" Wu Qian's descendant Wu Miaoshou of Yanjing Pulse Nurturing Hall. "When I was working on Wall Street in the United States, he entrusted me with financial management." Jiang Bangxia seemed humble, but she couldn't hide her pride. She said sweetly, "In the past 3 years I helped him with financial management and the annual compound return reached 25%, which doubled his assets. So he gave me this to express his gratitude." Sister Bangxia is so generous. "This thing is worth at least 4 million in the antique market." Jiang Chao sighed and clicked his tongue. Bangxia is amazing. She deserves a master's degree in finance. The annual return is 25%. Amazing. We have a female Buffett in our family. I heard that Bangxia was brought in by the provincial investment company as an overseas returnee. She started off as the investment director of the deputy division. Her annual salary is in the millions. Many people present were full of admiration. The young people were even more envious and sighed at their inferiority. "Bangxia, I actually wanted you to study medicine, but you ended up studying finance." A trace of regret appeared on the old man's face. Then he smiled and said gently, "Now it seems that you were right to insist on your choice. You have made great achievements in your field. Keep up the good work." "Don't worry, Grandpa. I will do my best." Jiang Bangxia smiled sweetly and retreated behind her parents. Behind her, several juniors were also idle. Some of the gifts were expensive, some were original, and some had a long history. Finally, under the watchful eyes of many, Jiang Qingfeng stepped forward and presented the gift. He smiled and said, "Grandpa, this is my gift." Qingfeng is the most outstanding talent in the Jiang family. I wonder what kind of gift he will give. It will definitely overwhelm the audience. The scene could not calm down. There were whispers and discussions. Their faces were full of excitement and anticipation. Even Grandpa Jiu could not calm down. He urged, "Chongqing, open it quickly. Let us have a look." Jiang Chongqing opened the gift box and saw an ordinary-looking old scroll revealing its true appearance. On the yellowed cover, there were a few small characters written on it. Theory of the origin of medical sciences. Even Jiang Chongqing could not calm down. A trace of shock flashed across his face. He smiled and said, "This is Medical Origin Theory, written by the famous doctor of the Qing dynasty, Su Dachuan. It is the only copy. It is a treasure of the Su family, a great medical family. It is very rare. How did you get it? This is a national treasure." "Grandpa, it's like this," Jiang Qingfeng said. "Last year I went to the Su family for an academic visit and compared medical skills with the descendant of Su Dachuan, Su Tianlei of the Imperial Medical Hall. We were evenly matched. He gave this book to me on a whim." Everyone exclaimed in surprise when they heard this. They were full of admiration for Jiang Qingfeng. Today the most outstanding person was still Jiang Qingfeng. Not to mention the expensive gift, his medical skills could compete with the masters of the Imperial Medical Hall. What a heaven-defying existence. It's rare that Qingfeng's medical skills can compete with Su Tianlei's. Ninth uncle was elated. He clapped his hands and praised, Chongqing, you have such capable and filial grandsons and granddaughters. Your life can be said to have been fulfilled. Well, not bad, not bad. Jiang Chongqing nodded, but his face was already a little cold. In fact, when Jiang Bangxia said those words, he was a little skeptical. The probability of her being able to compete with Buffett was very small. When Jiang Qingfeng presented the gift, he had completely figured it out in his heart. Jiang Qingfeng was not able to compete with Su Tianlei at all. Su Tianlei's medical skills were comparable to his. There was only one possibility. These gifts were bought by them with a lot of money. However, they knew that he didn't like them spending money recklessly, so they made up this lie and smeared makeup on his face. It seemed that they all knew that he couldn't do it, so they were trying their best to fight for power and profit and divide up the Jiang family. However, at this moment there were so many people present. He couldn't rashly expose them and embarrass them. He could only let out a long sigh in his heart. Could it be that the Jiang family really didn't have a person who could carry the tripod and turn the tide? However, Jiang Shoren, Jiang Yongming, and the other families didn't expect that the old man's eyes had seen through everything and was still complacent. Oh, isn't Jiang Tian very capable? Where did he go? Why didn't he present the gift to the old man? Eldest aunt looked at Jiang Zhixing and said sarcastically. Yes, he even dared to scold Big Brother. How capable and powerful he is. Where's he now? Second aunt also snorted coldly. Didn't he win a sports car from Yu Chong? He gave it to the old man to play with. Jiang Bangxia also sneered. Jiang Zhixing's face was pale and gloomy. He didn't know how to respond. Who knew that on the old man's 70th birthday, they would give him so many gifts? It was simply a crazy amount of money. They only bought some supplements and old medicines which were worth only a few thousand yuan. They couldn't take it out at all. Chapter 207. Zhang Wanqing forced a smile and said, Jiang Tian came back in a hurry, so he didn't prepare enough. Let him prepare for 3 years. I don't think he can come up with anything. He's just a piece of trash. I hope he doesn't starve to death. Everyone shook their heads in disdain. Jiang Shoren completely ignored Jiang Tian, this ignorant and incompetent nephew of his. He looked at his phone and said coldly, All right, stop talking nonsense. The guest should be here soon. We should go and welcome them. Jiang Zhixing and his wife's faces stiffened. They were nervous and uneasy. If the previous segment was a competition of the younger generation's results, then it was a competition of the younger generation. This segment was a competition of the connections of their generation. It was even more difficult for them. Although there were many guests every year, most of them came for Jiang Shoren and Jiang Yongming. Jiang Zhixing was just a small official, and he was in a place where even birds didn't shit. His connections were extremely poor. Zhang Wanqing used to be the chairman and CEO of the Medicine King Group. However, everyone in the business world knew that she had lost her power in a family fight 2 years ago. Now she was just the general manager of a small pharmaceutical factory. She had no one to keep in touch with. Last year at Old Master Zhang's birthday, Jiang Zhixing and his wife only brought a few cats and kittens. They were not presentable, so the couple lost face and suffered a lot of cold treatment. I'm afraid history will repeat itself this year. I'll have to go through the endless humiliation and unwillingness again. Zhang Wanqing sighed deeply. Her face was full of regret and disappointment. Sure enough, at this time, a loud and clear voice came from the door. Chairman Zhao of Jinling's Oncong Pharmaceuticals is here to congratulate you. Jiang Yongming was overjoyed. My friend is here for me. I'll go and welcome him. A BMW X5 stopped at the door. A middle-aged man with a big belly stepped out and said happily, I'm here to congratulate you, old master. Welcome. Jiang Yongming was overjoyed. Chairman Zhao, accompanied by Jiang Yongming, came to the inner hall and congratulated the old man. Old master, Divine Dr. Jiang, Deputy Director Jiang, I'm Zhao Jinxin. I'm here to congratulate you on your birthday. I wish you many blessings and a long life. Chairman Zhao, you've had a hard journey. Jiang Zhixing only nodded slightly. He was a deputy inspector and belonged to the deputy department. How could he take a small boss with a net worth of less than 10 million seriously? Ever since Zhao Jinxin arrived, many guests arrived one after another, setting off a small climax. Director Li of Rin AI Medical Group. Jinling Yuhua District Health Bureau Chief Qian. President Hu of Ming Hui Medical Equipment Company. Deputy Secretary General of the Jinling Municipal Committee. These guests were either rich or respectable. The bosses were mainly in the medical and health industry. Their assets were basically around 100 million yuan or even 1 billion yuan. Most of the officials were at the level of a deputy division head or above, and the deputy secretary of the Jinling Municipal Party Committee was even more powerful. Some of them came for Jiang Shuren and Jiang Yangming, while some came for Big Ant and Little Ant. Even Jiang Bangxia's leader came. He was a divisional head of the investment department of the Provincial Investment Group. At this time it was a competition of connections and relationships. Once you finish singing, I'll take the stage and show off my skills. As for Jiang Zhixing and his wife, Zhao Junlin came with his son Zhao Wuji. They were not presentable at all. It could be said that they were neglected in front of the door. Seeing this, Jiang Bangxia snorted coldly and looked at Jiang Tian's family. They shouldn't have come at all. Look, they don't even have a decent guest now. They're just asking for humiliation. Jiang Tian is too arrogant. It can be said that he has harmed his family. However, he doesn't deserve sympathy. He only has himself to blame. Jiang Qingfeng looked at them with disdain and shook his head disdainfully. Inside and outside the old house, many people were laughing at Jiang Tian's family and mocking them. Jiang Chao swaggered over to Jiang Tian and said disdainfully, "Jiang Tian, weren't you very arrogant just now? Why don't you even have a decent friend and didn't prepare any gifts for your grandfather?" As soon as he asked, many people who didn't like Jiang Tian turned their heads and waited to see Jiang Tian make a fool of himself. "I've prepared a gift, but it's still on the way." Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian's expression was completely calm as he spoke indifferently. "You're bragging. What gift did you prepare? Hurry up and take it out." Jiang Chao said disdainfully. "I want to extend my grandfather's lifespan by another 50 years so that he can be healthy and live to 100 years old." Jiang Tian said lightly. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe it and looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at an idiot. Jiang Chao was stunned for a moment before he said disdainfully, "You're bragging. Do you think you're a god? You're bragging so much." "Third brother, this child is not good enough." "Yeah, he's full of boasting. He's not good enough. His character is too bad. He has a bad temper and beats people up easily. He's frivolous and doesn't know his limits." "That's right. He can't be compared to Jiang Qingfeng and Jiang Bangxia. He's even worse than Jiang Chao." Seeing this, everyone shook their heads and their faces were full of disdain. The old man's illness was difficult to recover from and he showed signs of decline. He wouldn't live for more than 4 months. Even the gods couldn't save him and he had already been notified of his critical illness. What ability did Jiang Tian have to extend the old man's lifespan? If that wasn't bragging, then what was? Jiang Bangxia's red lips also curled into an arc of disdain and she said coldly, "Jiang Tian, look at your family. You don't have a single decent gift and you don't have any guests that are presentable. It's simply embarrassing to the extreme. If I were you, I wouldn't eat the birthday banquet and directly leave." Just as everyone was mocking Chen Fan, suddenly the MC said excitedly, "Chao Xinjuan and Qin Gang of Yangqing Super Technologies are here to congratulate you." Yangqing Super Technologies. I think it's an innovative technology company. Why are they here to congratulate you? Yeah, Yangqing and Jinlin City are thousands of miles apart. No one from Yangqing has ever come to the old man's birthday banquet. Many people were taken aback. They couldn't believe it. "Maybe they are my friends. I'll go take a look." Jiang Qingfeng straightened his clothes and hurried out to greet them. A little fatty who looked like a meatball walked into the courtyard and looked around with his small eyes. Then he suddenly saw something and ran to Jiang Tian, ignoring Jiang Qingfeng who was full of welcome. "Mr. Jiang, I finally found you." "Bless. You're Fatty Chow?" Jiang Tian stared at him for a long time before calling out his name. This chubby man was one of the many tycoons in Yangqing who went to visit Jiang Tian under the leadership of Hong Yi and Tang Zhinya when Jiang Tian was playing at the Tide Hark Mountain Golf Course. This kid was in the high-tech industry and was worth $1 billion or so. He was well connected in Yangqing and had asked Hong Yi to give Jiang Tian a lot of array formation materials. He respected Jiang Tian very much and never asked Jiang Tian to call him Boss Chow. Instead he asked Jiang Tian to call him Fatty Chow and told him that it was his honor to work for Master Kong. It's me. Mr. Chow's chubby face was full of flattery. He was smiling so widely that his eyes couldn't be seen. Have a seat. Why are you here? Jiang Tian was a little surprised. He had only informed the Jiangbei factions about his grandpa's birthday banquet. He didn't expect Yang Qing to know about it as well. Master Feng said you needed something, so I went to look for it. Chao Zhenjuan finally sat down with a flattering smile on his face. Qin Gang had already presented a gift box to Qin Fan. He knew that Master Kong was the overlord of Lingnan. If he could curry favor with Master Kong, it would be worth it no matter how much money he spent. Jiang Qingfeng caught up with him and said with a smile, Boss Chao, why are you sitting here? Please come in. Who would have thought that Chao Zhenjuan, who had always been subservient to Jiang Tian, would suddenly display the aura of a tycoon? He straightened his back and looked at Jiang Qingfeng arrogantly. Who are you? I don't know you. Don't interrupt my conversation with Mr. Jiang. Why, you're not here for me. Jiang Qingfeng looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. Why, you're not here for me? Who do you think you are? Go away. Fatty Chow poured a cup of tea for Jiang Tian and didn't even look at Jiang Qingfeng. Jiang Qingfeng was left standing awkwardly in the air. Boss Chow is here for Jiang Tian? The crowd exchanged glances with one another in disbelief. Although Boss Chow's like technology is not as good as the Medicine King group, it's still worth billions. Why is he so respectful to Jiang Tian? Jiang Bangxia and Jiang Chao were stunned and confused when they heard the news. Only Jiang Qingfeng frowned. He wondered if Boss Chow was here for Jiang Tian because of Zhang Wanqing's relationship in Yanjing. While everyone was talking about it, suddenly, a piece of news swept through the hall like a hurricane and shocked everyone. Dragon the Fifth, the chairman of Longwei Group in Linzhou, is here to congratulate you. At that moment the hall was silent. Everyone was speechless. Their faces were filled with shock. Longwei Group? Dragon the Fifth? That's not right. Although Longwei Group is famous, the Jiang family has never had any business with them. Yeah, Longwei Group is far away in Linzhou. It has nothing to do with the Jiang family. Why is he here? Everyone was in disbelief. I think he's here for me. I went to Linzhou to inspect the investment environment and had a drink with Lord Dragon the Fifth. Second Uncle Jiang Yongming was overjoyed. He tidied his clothes and put on a flattering smile. That was Lord Dragon the Fifth of Longwei Group. He was worth billions and was famous in Linzhou. It was equivalent to 2 Medicine King Group. At that moment, Dragon the Fifth led Zhou Zhenghao and Long Gatian out of a grey Bentley and walked into the yard. Jiang Yongming greeted him with a flattering smile. Lord Dragon the Fifth, I didn't expect you to come. You're giving me too much face. Thank you. Thank you so much. Master Kong. Unexpectedly, Dragon Fifth completely ignored him. Instead he quickly walked in front of Jiang Tian. He first bowed respectfully, then handed over a small box with both hands. He said in a low voice, I've brought it. What's going on? He seems to know Jiang Tian and is very respectful to Jiang Tian. He also brought a box. Is it a birthday gift for the old master? Everyone gasped in unison and they didn't dare believe it. They started whispering to each other and discussed animatedly. Chapter 208. Jiang Tian nodded calmly and smiled. Dragon Fifth, you've spent quite a lot on this. It's an antique. It looks like it's from the Qing dynasty. Have a seat. Yeah, rhinoceroses are protected animals now. They can't be hunted. Only then did Dragon Fifth dare to sit down. He smiled and whispered, I asked a few friends in the northeast to buy it for 5 million. Jiang Tian nodded slightly and put the box on the round table beside him. You're not here for me? Jiang Yongming's face was awkward. He stood there in a daze for a while before he reacted. He walked to Dragon Fifth's side and glanced at Jiang Tian in confusion. He smiled and said, Lord Dragon Fifth, please come with me to the inner hall. I've prepared a seat for you. The courtyard is for the juniors and ordinary people. I like to sit here. What's wrong? In front of Jiang Tian, Dragon Fifth was submissive, but in front of Jiang Yongming he acted like a tyrant from Linzhou. He puffed out his chest and glanced at Jiang Yongming disdainfully. Zhou Zhenghao's temper was even worse. He yelled, "We don't know you well. Get lost." This. Jiang Yongming was embarrassed, but he did not dare to act rashly. He stood there awkwardly. "Forget it. Dragon 5th Zhenghao, since you're here, go and greet the old man." Jiang Tian smiled and said, "Yes, Master Kong." Dragon 5th and the other two treated Jiang Tian's words like an imperial edict. They nodded and walked to the inner hall together. Only Jiang Yongming was left standing there with the corners of his eyes twitching as if he had seen a ghost. He looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. At the side, everyone was shocked. Dragon 5th was the underground emperor of Linzhou. He had tens of billions of assets under his control. Yet he was so respectful to Jiang Tian and even gave him something. For a moment, everyone's heart was in turmoil. They could no longer stay calm and started to discuss. Dragon 5th is here for Jiang Tian. Could it be that Jiang Tian is related to Master Dragon 5th? Dragon 5th and the others left the inner hall after paying their respects to the old man. They sat behind Jiang Tian like obedient elementary school students. At this time, Jiang Qingfeng, Jiang Ran, Jiang Bangxia, Jiang Chao and many other young people were also attracted by the abnormality. They were all taken aback and couldn't believe it. How does Jiang Tian know him? Could it be because of the Zhao family that Jiang Tian married into? Eldest aunt said in disbelief. It's very likely. Everyone immediately glanced at Zhao Xueqing, who was standing beside Jiang Tian. They immediately felt jealous. Zhao's pharmaceutical company has made a comeback. I heard that its annual sales are 2 billion yuan, which is even higher than the Medicine King Group. Can be said that it's like the sun in the sky. Dragon 5th must have come to congratulate the old man for the sake of the Zhao family. At this moment in the inner hall, Jiang Shoren and the other uncles were also discussing spiritedly. Is this really Dragon 5th? How did Dragon 5th know Jiang Tian? Could they be extras hired by Jiang Tian? Second aunt muttered. How is that possible? Look at them. Do they look like extras? Zhang Wanqing said angrily when she heard that. Wanqing, don't talk too much. Jiang Zhixing's face was full of suspicion. He didn't know what was going on. This is too insulting. Can't my son know a few big shots? Zhang Wanqing was about to quarrel with second aunt. Fortunately, a few more guests arrived. Everyone had to go and greet the guests. They gradually calmed down. Yi Gufeng, the chairman of Donghai Voyage Group, together with Lu Zikuan and Xue Mingyi of Jiangzhou, are here to congratulate the old man on his birthday. At this moment, the MC at the door shouted again. Lord Feng is here. Isn't he from Donghai? Why would he come to Jinlin City to celebrate the old man's birthday? That must be Dogface Kun next to him. He's so fierce. Maybe it's because of Yi Ziwei. I heard that everyone was shocked by Yi Gufeng's visit. They couldn't sit still anymore. They all got up and walked to the door to welcome him. Lord Feng of Jiangbei. What kind of reputation was this? Yi Gufeng had been the most powerful man in Jiangbei for the past few years. He was deeply rooted in politics and business. He controlled a few listed companies and had connections with both the government and the government. Even the bosses of Donghai and Jiangzhou had submitted to him. In Lingnan, he was on equal footing with many mayors and secretaries. His net worth had reached 20 billion. When Yi Gufeng's name was heard, even the elders and uncles in the mansion were alerted. The entire mansion was in an uproar. It was as if a bowl of hot oil had been added to a boiling pot. Lord Feng, I didn't expect you to come. You bring light to my humble abode. Even Jiang Shuren couldn't stay calm. He hurried out of the mansion and welcomed Qin Fan with a joyful face. He was just a deputy official, but Yi Gufeng was someone that even the mayor had to show some respect to. Yi Gufeng was wearing a casual outfit and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. If they didn't know who he was, they would have thought that he was a scholar. Yi Gufeng's status was too high and he was powerful. Not only did Jiang Shuren and Jiang Yongming's aunts come out, even the deputy secretary of the Jin City Committee came out to welcome him. Ha, Grandpa, why didn't I come to congratulate you? I'm here to give Secretary Li a big present. Yi Gufeng laughed and shook hands with Jiang Yongming and the others in a natural and unrestrained manner. He was refined, scholarly, and elegant. However, his aura was enormous and unrestrained, and he suppressed everyone present. Even the secretary of the Jin City Committee paled in comparison to him, let alone Jiang Yongming. Even the deputy secretary Lin came to welcome him. Lord Feng is indeed powerful. All the tycoons at the scene were envious of Yi Gufeng. Donghai was a special zone city in Wuxia. It was an important city for the reform and opening up of the economy. It was a first-tier city along with Yanjin, Zhonghai and Yangqing. Yi Gufeng was the richest man in Donghai. Compared to him, the tycoons in Jin City were like chickens meeting a phoenix. I thought he was also here to look for Jiang Tian. That scared me. It was a false alarm. At this moment, Jiang Qingfeng, Jiang Chao, Jiang Banxia, and the other third-generation disciples were relieved. They glanced at Jiang Tian, who was chatting intimately with Zhao Xueqing. Jiang Tian was already married to Zhao Xueqing. Although Yi Ziwei had deep feelings for him with Yi Gufeng's shrewdness, how could he allow his daughter to get close to Jiang Tian? Okay, Lord Feng, let's sit inside. Jiang Shoren hurriedly made a gesture to invite him into the villa. Yi Gufeng thought that Jiang Tian was in the mansion. Just as he was about to enter, his servant pulled on his sleeve. He then noticed that Jiang Tian was sitting in a corner of the courtyard. Everyone, please wait for a moment. Yi Gufeng, who was walking towards the mansion, suddenly changed his path. Under everyone's shocked gaze, he walked quickly to Jiang Tian. He cupped his fist respectfully and said with a smile, "Master Kong, I found the item, Master Kong." At that moment, dog-faced Kun Xuemingyi and the other tycoons from Donghai and Jiangzhou all bowed respectfully to Jiang Tian and shouted in unison. They were all tycoons of the Jianghu. Their shout was shocking and a huge pressure swept across the entire courtyard. The atmosphere in the courtyard was silent. Jiang Tian's overwhelming aura caused the hearts of the rich people present to skip a beat. They looked at Jiang Tian in shock and fear. Everyone was shocked. Just a moment ago, everyone was still talking and laughing. However, at that moment no one made a sound. Their eyes were wide open and their hearts almost jumped out of their throats. Jiang Shoren's smile froze on his face. He couldn't smile anymore. The corner of Jiang Yangming's eyes twitched. His eyes were wide open and he couldn't believe it. What's going on? Jiang Chao's mouth was wide open, revealing the unfinished candy inside. He called Jiang Tian something. Master Kong? Jiang Banxia's heart was in turmoil. Even if the Zhao family was doing well, it wasn't worthy of Yi Gufeng's respect. It wasn't even worthy of Lord Longwu and the others' performance. Was all this because of Jiang Tian? The moment he understood, he heard a wail in his heart. Had he been wrong about Jiang Tian all this time? Oh, put down the things and meet my parents and the old man. Jiang Tian smiled lazily and waved his hand. Yi Gufeng nodded, then walked to Jiang Zhixing and his wife. He cupped his fist and smiled apologetically. Brother Zhixing, Sister Wanqing, thank you for taking care of Yi Ziwei all these years. I, Yi Gufeng, will repay you generously in this life. So that's how it is. Yi Gufeng didn't come for Jiang Tian, but for Jiang Zhixing and his wife. I heard that Yi Gufeng is popular in the 3 cities of Jiangbei. Dragon Fifth must have given him face before. Seeing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They thought they understood and secretly scolded themselves for making a fuss over nothing. Previously, the father and daughter had a bad relationship, and Yi Gufeng didn't interact much with the Jiang family. Now that the two shook hands and made peace, it was normal for Yi Gufeng to thank Jiang Zhixing and his wife for raising his daughter and come to congratulate the old man. Accompanied by everyone, Yi Gufeng and the others walked into the inner hall to celebrate the old man's birthday. In the courtyard it was impossible to keep calm. Many people looked at Jiang Tian, and their expressions were no longer the same as before. Brother Qingfeng, it seems that we'd better have a good relationship with Jiang Tian in the future. After all, Yi Ziwei is his sister. Now even Yi Gufeng is here. Jiang Chao looked at Jiang Tian with a bit of fear in his eyes. Jiang Qingfeng didn't comment and still kept calm. He looked at Jiang Tian with deep eyes and no one knew what he was thinking. However, Jiang Banxia snorted unhappily. So what if we have a good relationship with Yi Gufeng? It still doesn't change the fact that he's a good-for-nothing. The future hope of our Jiang family still depends on my brother. How can we go far by relying on outsiders? But why does Yi Gufeng call Jiang Tian Master Kong and respect him so much? This doesn't seem like how a junior should be treated. Some people also raised the doubts in their hearts. However, this point was ignored by Jiang Banxia and Jiang Qingfeng, and was drowned in the noise. They only thought that Yi Gufeng was so polite to Jiang Tian's family because of his daughter. They didn't think that Jiang Tian was outstanding in any way. Less than 5 minutes after Yi Gufeng walked into the inner hall, another announcement came from the door. Lin Zhou's Tang family, Tang Guizhu and his beloved sons, Tang Hongtu, Tang Weimin and Tang Wanyan and granddaughter Tang Linglong, are here to congratulate you. Lin Zhou's Tang family. When this news came, it was like a hurricane had blown up. The whole place couldn't calm down. It was even more shocking than Yi Gufeng's arrival. Tang Hongtu held an important position in the General Staff Department and had just been promoted to Major General. Tang Weimin had just been appointed as the new secretary of Yangcheng's Municipal Committee and a member of the Provincial Committee. He could be said to be a governor of the border. In the future he might enter Wuxia and become a top figure in the pyramid of power in China. It could be said that the entire Tang clan had been on the rise for the past year, like the sun in the sky. Elder Tang and General Tang are here. In the inner hall, Jiang Ran was the first one who couldn't sit still. His eyes were burning and his face was red with excitement. He stood up. Chapter 209. Father, you and Tang Guizhu know each other? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Jiang Yongming trembled with excitement when he heard the news. That's not right. Tang Guizhu was seriously ill at the beginning of 2007. He was sent to me for treatment, but the disease was too difficult to treat. I couldn't cure him. Grandpa Tang was also confused. Even if you couldn't cure him, you should have some affection for him. You must be here for Grandpa Tang. I will go and welcome him. Jiang Shuren was very excited. He led the way and went out to welcome the guests. An 80% new black Audi stopped in front of them. The car door opened and Tang Linglong supported Tang Guizhu. Surrounded by the 3 sons of the Tang family, the whole family walked in. Tang Linglong was wearing a short trench coat with a black winter skirt and a pair of primary-colored stockings. A delicate belt was tied around her waist, outlining her graceful figure. Wow, she must be Secretary Tang's daughter. She's so beautiful. The Tang family's genes are too good. Many of the young people present exclaimed in surprise, and their saliva almost flowed out. Jiang Ran stared at Tang Linglong without blinking. His heart was burning with passion as he muttered, "If I marry this girl with the support of the Tang family, won't I be able to rise up the ranks in the military and reach the top in one step?" Jiang Qingfeng was also very excited. He glanced at him and thought, "Jiang Ran, although you are doing well, your family background is too poor. You don't deserve her. Maybe I have a glimmer of hope." Looking at Tang Linglong, who was born noble and had an extraordinary bearing, Jiang Bangxia and the other girls of the Jiang family felt that she was like a princess. Their eyes were filled with jealousy and a sense of inferiority. "Old Master Tang, Secretary Tang, I didn't expect you to come." Jiang Shuren shook hands with the Tang family members. He held Tang Weimin's hand tightly and didn't want to let go. He was much younger than Tang Weimin, but at this time his face was full of flattery, bowing to curry favor, which made people feel a little amused. "Ah, you're welcome. Where's Mr. Jiang?" Old Master Tang said with a kind smile. "He is in the inner hall. Elder Tang and everyone else, please follow me." Jiang Shuren thought to himself that someone who could be addressed as Mr. by Elder Tang was undoubtedly his father. Thus he pointed at the front and led the way. Unexpectedly, as soon as everyone walked under the canopy, Tang Linglong ran to Jiang Tian, bowed respectfully and shouted, "Master, I'm here. These are my parents. Haven't you always wanted to meet them?" Jiang Tian pointed at his parents. Junior Tang Linglong greets the 2 elders. "Happy New Year to you." Tang Linglong's eyes lit up. She immediately knelt down on the ground and performed the ritual of 3 kowtows and 9 kowtows. The ritual was strict and there was no mistake. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked to the point of being dumbstruck. They didn't dare believe it. "This girl. Hurry up and get up." Jiang Zhixing and his wife were also baffled. Jiang Shuren was stunned at first. Then he smiled and hurried over to help her up. "Miss Tang, you are of noble status. How can you be so respectful to my 3rd brother's family? The Tang family is right next to us, yet she's bowing to her useless 3rd brother's family. If the Tang family gets angry, won't they overturn our Jiang family? Master Kongzi, you are here. You are not in the inner hall. Greetings, Master Kong and Mrs. Jiang. The Tang family wishes Master Kang's parents a happy new year. Good luck in the new year. Unexpectedly, old Master Tang led his 3 sons over. He didn't stop tangling long. Instead, he bowed respectfully to the Jiang family. His expression was extremely humble. That scene was like a bolt of lightning that struck everyone's heads. Everyone felt an electric shock spreading from their backs to their heads. A wave of numbness and dizziness spread from their heads to their limbs like ripples. What's going on? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. They couldn't believe it. Jiang Shuren and the others were even more confused. Jiang Ran's face was sallow and his eyes were filled with fear. He couldn't believe that the Tang family was so respectful to Jiang Tian. He had offended Jiang Tian. With him in the way, how could he get close to the Tang family? Well, old Master Tang, the heroes of Jiangbei are all here. Yi Gufeng Dragon 5th and the other heroes of Jiangbei came over to greet them. They were not surprised by old Master Tang's arrival at all. Jiang Tian was now a grandmaster who had defeated Wuxia. Who wouldn't submit to him if he claimed to be the most powerful person under the immortal state? Especially the Tang clan, they had obtained great benefits from Jiang Tian. Some of them were promoted, some of them became rich, and some of them became martial arts experts. It was old Master Zhang's birthday today. It would be strange if the Tang family didn't come to congratulate him. It's a mistake. We have been mistaken from the beginning to the end. Jiang Chao slapped his forehead and came back to his senses. His eyes were filled with fear as he said in a trembling voice, "They aren't here for Yi Gufeng's sake but for Jiang Tian." But what the hell is going on? Why do they respect Jiang Tian so much? Jiang Bangxia was not convinced. Jiang Tian, you know so many big shots. You do have the right to be arrogant. But so what? Jiang Qingfeng's clenched fists trembled slightly. His face was gloomy and he roared angrily in his heart. You're ignorant and incompetent. You're a good for nothing. Your father is just a lowly official. This is the Jiang family. They value talent and knowledge. I am the best descendant of the Jiang family. I am the only one who is qualified to control the Jiang family and the Medicine King group in the future. In the crowd, Jiang Zhixing and his wife were also very excited and confused. Zhang Wanqing murmured, "So in fact old Yi didn't come for us but for our son?" Jiang Zhixing couldn't believe it. He frowned and said angrily, "Wanqing, he didn't use your Zhang family's name in Linzhou, did he?" Strange things happened when the guests came today. Many big shots came to congratulate Jiang Tian on his birthday. It was unbelievable. Jiang Zhixing thought of all kinds of possibilities, but in the end he rejected them one by one in his heart. In the end he felt that this was the only truth. The Zhang family was one of the top 10 families in Yanjing. In recent years they had been very influential. If Jiang Tian told the truth that he was the grandson of the Zhang family, even the Tang family would have to give him some face, let alone Dragon 5th and other Jianghu tyrants. When he thought of this, his anger could not be quelled and he was unhappy for a while. The Zhang family had always looked down on them. Jiang Zhixing was a businessman and had a proud character. He never tried to curry favor with them. Even when Xianxia pharmaceutical factory was suppressed by the Sun family and almost closed down, he never lowered his head to ask the Zhang family for help. If his son did such a shameless thing, he would lose all his face. At this moment he wanted to kick Jiang Tian to the ground. What kind of future does your son have? Other than using the Zhang family to intimidate others, what else can he do? Second aunt also thought of this point and immediately began to mock and ridicule. She said sourly, "He's just a good-for-nothing who studied in 3 lousy schools. He's just a good-for-nothing who only knows how to eat, drink and play. Can he really make these people respect him?" Yes, that must be it. In order to put makeup on their faces, Jiang Tian didn't even care about his face. He used the Zhang family to deceive these people from Jiangbei. The people from Jiangbei are really idiots. They don't know that the Zhang family and Jiang Tian's families are like fire and water. They haven't been together for many years. Hearing the second aunt's words, all the people present suddenly understood. Their shock turned to disdain. Jiang Qingfeng thought of this at this time. He immediately smiled coldly and murmured, "This kind of false prosperity is like a sand castle. It can't withstand any wind and water. Sooner or later it will show its true form. His eyes were gloomy, and his heart was full of gloating mockery. Even the better they praise Zhang Tian now, the worse Zhang Tian will fall when they know the truth. Look, he is still complacent and talking happily. Zhang Bangxia thought so. Her clear and beautiful eyes were full of ridicule. She looked at Zhang Tian as if she was looking at a dead man and sneered, "Such a powerful person respects you to get benefits from the Zhang family. When the time comes you can't fulfill your promise. They will skin you alive." Yes, damn it. I just wanted to apologize to him. Fortunately, my mother reminded me in time. Otherwise, I would have lost my face. Jiang Chao wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said, "Madam, don't talk nonsense." Zhou Zhenghao heard the second aunt's words. He suddenly turned around and shouted, "If it weren't for the old man's birthday, I would have killed you for what you said. He was born in the wilderness and looked fierce." The second aunt was so scared that she trembled and broke out in a cold sweat. Her face was extremely embarrassed. Zhou Zhenghao looked around at the crowd with a murderous look and said coldly, "Master Kong is dominating Lingnan. How can you say anything?" At this time a young man ran over and shouted, oh no, Yu Chong is here. I saw him driving over at the entrance of the village. He is here to make trouble for Zhang Tian." "What? He's here?" Jiang Zhixing was shocked. Yu Chong had lost to Zhang Tian's sports car. Would he come to make trouble now? Zhang Wanqing put her hand on her forehead and said, "This Yu Chong is so vicious. He picked such an important day to come here. Isn't he slapping us in the face? Now he is exposed. He may have fooled everyone in Jiangbei, but he can't fool the people in Jinling." Jiang Bangxia clapped her small jade-white hands and cheered. Jiang Qingfeng was too lazy to say anything. He just shook his head in disdain. "Just wait and see. Yu Chong will thank the heavens if he doesn't kill him," Jiang Chao said with a strange smile. However, before his smile could fully bloom, it froze on his face and he could not smile anymore. "Master Tang, this is the place." Yu Chong, who had a lot of power in Jinling, was nodding and bowing as he led the way for a few young men. It was as if they were nobler than him. One of them was dressed in a Buddhist style. His hair was shaved, leaving only a layer of short blue hair. He wore a buttoned robe and soft cloth shoes. He was twirling sandalwood Buddhist prayer beads in his hand. One of them was dressed in luxurious and fashionable clothes. He had a dignified appearance and looked very handsome. The other one was dressed like a military fanatic and had a bit of a ruthless aura. The last one was a murderous-looking man. He was tall and wore a camouflage uniform. He was followed by a beautiful and fashionable young woman. Tang Xiaozi, the young master of Yangqing. Jiang Chao was shocked. He almost fell to the ground. Bai Choufei and Tai Ming Huang. Jiang Qingfeng's face was pale. His eyes were filled with fear and his voice was hoarse. He had already realized the seriousness of the stone gambling incident. Yu Chong had asked the forces of Yangqing to suppress the Jiang family. If they joined hands, then it wouldn't just be a matter of Zhang Tian being punished and finished, but the entire Jiang family would be finished. Chapter 210. These three young masters could do whatever they wanted in Yangqing. The combined assets of these three families amounted to nearly 20 million yuan. They were huge. In the past 6 months, they had begun to invade Su province and the Jinlin city market. Jiang Bangxia let out a sorrowful cry. "Gu Siyu is my boss, the CEO of the Provincial Capital Investment Company. This time Jiang Tian has really killed me. I'll definitely be fired by President Gu." "What? Instructor Gui Yinlin? Why is he here?" Jiang Ran's eyes were filled with admiration. Gui Yinlin's father was the second in command of the Jinlin City military region. Gui Yinlin was also the chief instructor of their team. He used to be like a fan meeting his idol when he saw Gui Yinlin. "Young Master Chong, today is my grandpa's birthday banquet. Please show some mercy." Jiang Qingfeng showed the responsibility that the eldest son of the family should have. He braced himself and walked forward, looking pitiful. "I know my useless cousin has offended you. Don't worry, I will break his legs and apologize to you." Jiang Bangxia pointed at Zhang Tian and shouted, "Zhang Tian, you are the one who caused this trouble. apologized to young Master Chong. What did you say? Whose legs did you say you want to break? Tang Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light. His face darkened as he walked forward and pointed at Jiang Qingfeng's nose. Young Master Tang. I was talking about Jiang Tian, not you. Jiang Qingfeng was so scared that his face turned pale. He waved his hands in panic and staggered back. Slap. Tang Xiaoza raised his hand and slapped Jiang Qingfeng. The latter fell to the ground and blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. Hiss. How dare he hit someone at the Jiang family's birthday banquet? This is outrageous. Seeing this, everyone in the Jiang family gasped. Their faces changed dramatically and their eyes were filled with hatred. However, no one dared to confront Tang Xiaoza. Tang Xiaoza was too powerful. He could wipe out the Jiang family with a wave of his hand. No one dared to offend him. Even Jiang Shoren and eldest aunt only helped Jiang Qingfeng up with pity in their eyes. They didn't even dare to criticize him. Xiaoza, don't you believe in Buddhism and don't like fighting and killing? Seeing this, Bai Chofei said with a dark expression. First, I believe in Master Kong. Second, I believe in Buddhism. In order to protect Master Kong, I am willing to commit murder and arson. Tang Xiaoza held a string of Buddha beads in his hands and put his palms together. His face was full of compassion as he said in a devout voice, believe in Master Kong and you will have eternal life. Young Master Tang, please help me. Yu Chong tugged at Tang Xiaoza's sleeve and pleaded. Master Kong, us good-for-nothings are here to wish you a happy new year, Master Kong, and to celebrate the old man's birthday, under the incredulous gazes of the crowd. Tang Xiaoza, Tai Ming Huang, and Bai Chofei all knelt on the ground and kowtowed 9 times. Yu Chong knelt behind Jiang Tian and slapped his own mouth. He said in a trembling voice, Master Kong, I have offended you a few days ago. Please forgive me this time. I know I was wrong. Junior Gu Yinlin and Gu Xiu greet Master Kong. Gu Yinlin and Gu Xiu also walked forward and bowed respectfully to Jiang Tian. They wanted to make friends with Jiang Tian. What is going on? They are actually kneeling to Jiang Tian. The muscles at the corner of Jiang Yangming's eyes twitched crazily. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. My heart. Jiang Shoren's right hand trembled as he reached into his trouser pocket. He took out a quick-acting heart pill and swallowed it. The scene in front of him was too shocking. His heart couldn't take it. My God. This is too shocking. President Gu is actually... Jiang Bangxia was dumbfounded. Her mouth was wide open and even her molars were exposed. Brother Qingfeng, give me an explanation. Can this be done by using the name of the Zhang family? Jiang Chao's mood was like a roller coaster going up and down. He was about to go crazy because of Jiang Tian. Jiang Qingfeng felt as if he had been hit by a stick. He was dizzy and couldn't say a word at all. Could it be that Jiang Tian really made a lot of money? Did he invest in high-tech companies like Facebook and Goose Factory, or take advantage of the financial crisis to short U.S. real estate bonds and make billions a year? But billions can't do that. Eldest aunt, second aunt, and third aunt were all speechless. Their faces were full of disbelief. Just as Jiang Chao said, Jiang Tian couldn't explain the shocking scene in front of them even if he borrowed the power of the Zhang family. That's right. These 3 young masters were arrogant and unruly. Even if they met the Zhang family, they wouldn't bow to them. But why did they kneel and worship Jiang Tian? Jiang Zhixing and Zhang Wanqing were also confused and shocked. Soon, that astonishment turned into utter astonishment. A super big shot that they didn't even dare to think about had also arrived. At this time, at the entrance of Jiang Manor, a few teenagers and children were picking up the firecrackers that had not been completely set off. Every time a distinguished guest came to celebrate the birthday, the Jiang family would set off a string of firecrackers to show their respect. Today they had set off dozens of firecrackers. The air was filled with the strong smell of gunpowder, and the ground was full of red firecrackers and debris. It was almost noon and the birthday banquet was about to start. Thinking that there wouldn't be any guests, the Jiang family had already returned to the village and sat down at the banquet. Let's play some fireworks. It's time to go back and eat. Yeah, great-grandpa Chongqing even knows how to give out red packets. The children had a lot of fun that day and they were ready to play a few fierce games. The so-called firecrackers with firecrackers was to remove the firecrackers, pour out the gunpowder inside, connect it into a straight line, and set off a big firecracker at the end. The effect was quite explosive. First there was a flash of fire and then there was a loud bang. At this time a military off-road vehicle sped over and braked, blowing away the gunpowder ashes on the ground. Fuck. Don't you have eyes? A 13 or 14-year-old child jumped 3 feet high and pointed at an old man in military uniform who was walking out of the car. The children didn't care at all. They had seen too many luxury cars in the morning, such as Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and even supercars. There was nothing strange about the car in front of them. Little brat, you have no manners. I'll beat you. Next to the old man, a heroic female military officer was about to hit him. Sorry. My driver didn't see clearly. This bag of candies is for you. The old man in military uniform patted his head and handed him a bag of milk candies with a kind smile. That's more like it. The child took it and rolled his eyes arrogantly. Child, is this Zhang Zhuang? Does Jiang Chongqing and old Master Jiang live here? The old man bent down with his hands behind his back and asked with a smile. Yes. The first house on the east side of the village. You're also here to celebrate the birthday, right? The child king saw that he was polite and had a good impression of him. His young face was especially cute. Okay, then I'll go. Don't play with the firecrackers. It's very dangerous. The old man in military uniform ordered the driver to stop the car at the entrance of the village. He walked toward the village with a smile on his face with a few followers. This car looks a bit like a Hummer. A child pointed at the car and said in a childish voice. Idiot, you can't read, right? This is the Dongfeng Warrior, a domestic car. The leader of the children opened the packaging and peeled off the candy. He rolled his eyes and slowly walked to the windshield. He looked at the pass and said, Central Committee, crush. His hand suddenly trembled and the bag of candies fell to the ground in a mess. This person looks a bit familiar. Yeah, I think I've seen him on TV. When the old man walked toward the Jiangzhuang mansion, a group of people at a 30-meter-long banquet on the main road in the middle of the village looked at him curiously. For bodyguards in full military attire were guarding him tightly with their bodies of flesh and blood like iron buckets. 2 soldiers, 1 male and 1 female, and several officials with extraordinary bearings followed behind him. The old man walked over slowly with a calm demeanor. Jiang Tian, what did you do? Why do so many people respect you so much? Under the colorful canopy, Jiang Banxia's face was full of horror. She roared loudly in her heart, but she didn't go forward to ask. She graduated from a famous overseas school and worked on Wall Street. She had her own pride and could be said to be the most outstanding child of this generation of the Jiangzhuang family. Even Jiang Lin paled in comparison to her. Therefore, she didn't plan to go back to the Jiangzhuang family. She thought that the platform of the Medicine King group was too small. However, looking at the guests that even her father had to greet with a smile on his face, worshipping Jiang Tian with great respect, she felt that she, who had an annual salary of 1,000,000 yuan, was like a beggar, not worth mentioning. The only thing that could support her now was the qualifications of a famous school. It must be because of the Zhang family of Yanjin. Otherwise, they wouldn't even pay attention to this piece of trash. Jiang Qingfeng gritted his teeth and murmured to himself. He clenched his fists tightly and was burning with jealousy. Without the Zhang family of Yanjin, how could this piece of trash compare with me? Brother Chongqing, is Jiang Tian doing well in Lingnan? Why do so many tycoons respect him? Second grandpa stood at the door and held Jiang Chongqing's hand. He asked with a joyful face. Humph, second brother, you are wrong to think that way. Ninth grandpa sat in the armchair and didn't move. He said with a calm face. These tycoons in Lingnan are too far away. They are of limited help to our Jiang family. In the future we still have to rely on Shuren Qingfeng. He had experienced the Republic of China, the founding of the country, and the reform and opening up. He had experienced the vicissitudes of life and seen through the wind and clouds. Many big families had good connections when they were famous. However, once they were in decline, the monkeys would scatter when the tree fell. How to establish a family and how to call it a clan depended on the talent and ability of the family members. It also depended on one's own strength. Jiang Banxia had sneaked into the inner hall. When he heard this, he clapped his hands and said, Ninth grandpa is right. A family is supported by talents. If one's own strength is not strong, it doesn't matter how many connections one has. The so-called connections in the end are just an exchange of interests. But Jiang Tian, he is penniless. What can he exchange with them? Jiang Changgang looked suspiciously at Jiang Tian, who was talking and laughing with many tycoons and officials in the courtyard. He said slowly, "Xianxia, call Jiang Tian in and ask him what is going on." "Yes, Grandpa." Jiang Xianxia replied, taking pleasure in his misfortune. "The fact that you used the name of the Zhang family to swindle people is probably going to be exposed. See if Grandpa doesn't scold you to death." Hearing Grandpa's call, Jiang Tian left the guests behind and walked into the inner hall. Many of the core members of the Jiang family wanted to see Jiang Tian's true face. Whether it was a mule or a horse, they followed him in. "Jiang Tian, are you using the name of your grandfather's Zhang family to swindle people outside?" Second aunt was the first to ask sarcastically. Chapter 211. Who do you think you are? Why are you asking me? Why should I answer you? Jiang Tian lazily took a cup of tea from a servant's hand and sipped on it as he spoke without even lifting his eyelids. He had heard his second aunt's nonsense, so he was not polite to her at all. "How dare you talk to your second aunt like that? How dare you?" Jiang Yongming was furious. He slammed the table and scolded. "You can't be so disrespectful to your elders." "That's right. A junior is so arrogant and runs amok. How can our Jiang family establish itself?" Many members of the Jiang family pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded him harshly. They seemed to be taking the opportunity to vent the depression, humiliation, and defeat that Jiang Tian had brought to them. "What kind of elder is she? In my heart I only have one second aunt. Her ashes are in the ancestral hall of the Jiang family." Jiang Tian said indifferently as he blew on the steam from the tea. His expression was calm and relaxed. In the crowd, Jiang Lin's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes were misty, but she pressed her lips together and bit her red lower lip with her white teeth. She tried to hold back her tears. "You can't cry. You are standing side by side with Jiang Tian. You have to create endless glory with him." She gritted her teeth and warned herself. Jiang Yongming's first wife, Jiang Lin's birth mother, was kind and gentle. She loved Jiang Tian very much. She was also very capable. She had worked hard with her mother to build the Medicine King group. The current second aunt was actually Jiang Yongming's former secretary. She was his mistress. Back then she went to the Jiang family and made a scene. She beat and scolded Jiang Lin's mother. Jiang Yongming protected the mistress and made his first wife hang herself out of anger. "Listen to me. Is this what a junior should say? I have been serving Yongming for years. Have I been feeding dogs?" Hearing this, the second aunt was so angry that she almost fainted. She beat her chest and stomped her feet, wailing and wailing. "Jiang Tian, you are too much. Don't think you're so great just because you used the Zhang family's name to trick a few rich and powerful officials. If you do this again, I'll slap you." Everyone vented their suppressed anger on Jiang Tian, and a battle of words ensued. "All of you shut up." Jiang Changgang slammed his crutch on the ground as he swept his dignified gaze across the crowd. He angrily said, "It's my birthday, yet all of you are crying and making a ruckus? Did I die?" As soon as he said this, second aunt was so frightened that she immediately retracted the tears that she had forced out. Everyone remained silent, glaring hatefully at Jiang Tian. "Jiang Tian, why are so many people here today? What's going on?" Jiang Changgang asked with a kind smile. "Grandpa, I can only tell you that the respect they gave me had nothing to do with the Zhang family. I earned it with my own ability." Jiang Tian crossed his legs and said calmly, "They sent some medicinal herbs over. These medicinal herbs can allow me to extend your lifespan for at least 20 years. I can guarantee that you will live to 100 years old." How arrogant. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air in unison, looking at Jiang Tian in disbelief. "Too arrogant. They gave you face. What right do you have?" The whole place was filled with exclamations of surprise. Jiang Tian was angry that Jiang Tian insulted his mother. He slammed the table and scolded, "Jiang Tian, tell me, what right do you have to earn this respect? If you really have the ability, I will kneel down and kowtow to you today. In the face of everyone's questions, Jiang Tian remained silent as if he had nothing to say. It was as if he was really a fraud. Distinguished guests have arrived. At this moment, a loud voice came from the door to welcome the guests. He did not recognize these people. Whoosh! Everyone under the canopy turned their heads in unison. At this moment, the three young masters of Yangqing, Guilin Yu Chong, and the others had already presented their gifts to Jiang Tian and were sitting under the canopy. Instructor Gua, I'm little Jiang. Jiang Ran pulled a chair and sat behind Guilin, waiting for an opportunity to get close to him. Thump. When Jiang Ran turned his head and saw the old man, his body went limp and he slid down from the chair. The second most important person in the Jinling military, Gua Gangchuan. The second most important person in the military commission of Wuxia, Zhou Xian. The villagers did not recognize them, but how could Jiang Ran not recognize the famous Zhou Xian? The members of the Jiang family in the inner hall were all confused at this time. They whispered to each other and discussed animatedly. What guest? Yeah, the birthday banquet has already started and the dishes have already been served. Why would there be a guest at this time? At this moment, Jiang Ran stumbled in and said in a trembling voice, Master Chongqing, it's Zhou Xian from the military commission. Whoosh! The sound of chairs being moved could be heard. Many Jiang family members stood up and exclaimed. Who's here? Zhou Xian? What? Zhou Xian is here. Even Granduncle Jiu couldn't help but stand up. His turbid eyes suddenly became extremely clear and emitted rays of light. Great-grandson Jiang Ran, is this true? Ninth great-uncle, it's absolutely true. Let's go and welcome him. Jiang Ran nodded hurriedly and urged anxiously. Quick, Chongqing, help me to meet the old chief. Ninth great-uncle hurriedly walked out with his walking stick. What did I hear wrong? It's really Zhou Xian? Jiang Shuren, Jiang Yangming and the others' minds went blank. Some were dizzy and some were trembling non-stop. They all rushed out. Why is he here? Did Grandpa treat him? Ninth great-uncle studied at Huangpu Military Academy. Does he know Elder Chao's ancestor? As for Jiang Qingfeng and the other third-generation descendants, they were even more excited. Their eyes were filled with shock and their faces were flushed with excitement. Chief, my dear chief, your presence brings light to my humble Jiang family's humble dwelling. Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. Ninth great-uncle rushed out with quick steps. He called out repeatedly and was extremely excited. Elder Chao, I didn't know you were coming in person and came late to welcome you. Even Jiang Chongqing couldn't stay calm. He bowed deeply and greeted him humbly. Jiang Chongqing used to be the deputy director of the Provincial Health Committee, but the highest official he had ever seen was the provincial leader. He had only seen this kind of central boss on TV and had never had the chance to meet him. Now he actually saw the most powerful person in the country and he was even congratulating him on his birthday. You're really here. Ninth great-uncle was so excited that tears streamed down his face. His body trembled violently as he held Zhou Xixiang's hand. Jiang Chongqing was still able to maintain his calm and rationality. He said with a cheerful face, Chief Chao, I really don't understand. Why are you here at the old man's birthday banquet? I'm here to give Elder Jiang a birthday gift and ask for some longevity noodles. Zhou Xixiang's face was full of joy. Then he slowly turned around and looked deeply at Jiang Tian. Also, I'm here to apologize to Master Kong on behalf of my good-for-nothing granddaughter. Everyone was shocked as soon as he said that. Everyone's eyes fell on the young man who was drinking tea quietly under the colorful canopy. The whole place was so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. Under everyone's incredulous gaze, Chao Jinjia suppressed the slight unwillingness in her heart and walked quickly to Jiang Tian. She bowed respectfully and said, Master Kong, that day, it was my fault. Please forgive me this time. First Uncle Jiang Shuren's hands trembled violently as he clutched his chest in pain. He was about to have a heart attack again. Second Uncle Jiang Yangming's smile suddenly froze on his face, making him look like a sculpture. Bang! Second aunt knocked over a chair and fell to the ground. Her legs were so weak that she couldn't stand up. Even Jiang Chongqing and ninth uncle were stunned and couldn't believe it. Jiang Qingfeng closed his eyes in despair and his body trembled slightly. He murmured in his heart, I was wrong. I was wrong from the beginning to the end. This guy's strength is definitely far beyond my imagination. Ask the chief of the central government to come and apologize and congratulate me. Compared with him, I'm simply... Jiang Bangxia's face was dull. He looked like he was smiling and crying. The corners of his mouth twitched and he almost went crazy on the spot. He will be the head of the family. He will kill me. What should I do? Jiang Chao was so scared that his face turned pale and his body trembled. He really didn't know how Jiang Tian would punish him. He was not as low-key as Jiang Tian, who liked to jump up and down. He had argued with Jiang Tian several times, so he was most scared at this time. In fact, every member of the Jiang family who was present at the scene was also horrified and trembling in fear. The family bullied a junior. If they strangled him on the spot when he was weak, they would never have any future troubles. However, this guy's strength was tyrannical. He had a strong background and connections. If he wanted to take revenge, who could stop him? Perhaps he could decide everyone's life and death with just one word. Second grandpa, who always doted on Jiang Tian, shook his head when he saw everyone's grief-stricken faces. He sighed in his heart. It's really better to bully an old man than a poor young man. As the saying goes, life is full of ups and downs. It only took him 30 minutes to slap his face back. In fact, only a few seconds had passed, but to everyone it felt like a long century. Elder Chao, it's just a small matter. You don't have to be so concerned. Jiang Tian slowly put down his teacup. He didn't look at Chao Jinjia but turned to Zhou Xian and said indifferently, "Thank you, Master Kong." Chao Jinjia, who had been bowing and didn't dare to get up, finally let out a long breath and slowly straightened her body. She knew that with Jiang Tian's domineering and arrogant personality, if he was determined to deal with her, he would never put on a pretense. When he said that, it meant that the Martial Arts Alliance conference could be closed and everything could start anew. Zhou Xian also understood this point. Some things were, of course, inconvenient to say in front of everyone. He drank a cup of tea and chatted with everyone in an amiable manner. He declined the invitation to the birthday banquet and left with everyone. When he sent Zhou Xian to the entrance of the village, he watched him leave. Ninth grandpa leaned on his walking stick and looked up to the sky with tears in his eyes. He sighed and said, "Our Jiang family has a dragon. We're going to have a meteoric rise." Chapter 212. Until now, everyone in the Jiang family was still immersed in shock, unable to recover for a long time. "Jiang Tian, what's wrong with you?" Zhang Wanqing couldn't help but ask her son. Jiang Zhixing also looked at Jiang Tian with a frown. Now he felt that this son of his was so unfamiliar. "I'll tell you in detail later." Jiang Tian raised his eyebrows, glanced at his father and said calmly. Jiang Zhixing finally understood why Jiang Tian didn't prepare a birthday gift and instead meditated every day. He had far surpassed that level. It could even be said that he was the best gift given to the Jiang family by the heavens. At this moment, Jiang Tian looked over. Jiang Zhixing suddenly remembered that on the second morning of the banquet, he couldn't help but want to teach this child a lesson. At that time he was meditating cross-legged and only raised his eyebrows to look at him. He still remembered that look deeply. He had originally planned to teach him a lesson after the banquet. But now he suddenly understood what kind of look it was. He had once been to the golden peak of Mount Imei and watched the sunrise in the morning. The chicken-like yellow egg broke through the horizon and opened up thousands of multicolored rays of light, just like that pair of eyes at that time. Vast and boundless. There was also a kind of helpless indifference that couldn't be described with words. But at this moment, Jiang Zhixing didn't feel any shame or anger at all. Instead, there was an indescribable sense of pride. When they returned to the courtyard, the banquet began. Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing were directly pulled to the first table to sit with the old man and ninth great-uncle. This table was full of grandfathers, not even an uncle. Even Jiang Shuren was only at the second table. Halfway through the wine, Jiang Chongqing smiled with a gratified expression. "Jiang Tian, you said that you would extend my lifespan by 30 years. How do you want to extend it?" He was actually a little curious. Jiang Tian had so many followers and supporters. Was it because of his medical skills? "Qing'er, open it and let Grandpa have a look." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Zhao Xueqing hurried forward and opened the lid of a box. Rhinoceros horn cup. Moreover, it was an antique cup. Look at this carving, it looks like it's from the Ming dynasty. Crystal clear white jade condensed into a rhinoceros horn, bright red clothes embroidered with tiger stripes. This rhinoceros horn cup is priceless. It's worth at least 10 million. The point is, this thing is priceless. Even if you have the money, you can forget about buying it. When the crowd saw what was inside the box, they exclaimed in disbelief. Many of them were rich people and knew a lot about antiques. They could tell at a glance that this rhinoceros horn cup was extraordinary. Rhinoceros horn was a precious medicinal ingredient for clearing heat and detoxifying. In ancient times, it was as famous as the luminous wall and the bright moon pearl. According to legend, the rhinoceros horn had the function of detoxifying and warding off evil spirits. Just like poison, the poison would foam. Therefore, it was valued by the emperor and made into cups and other utensils to inspect food. In ancient times, royal craftsmen carved wine cups according to the natural shape of rhinoceros horns for the emperor to enjoy. Today, rhinoceroses are endangered and protected animals. Rhinoceros horns can no longer be used as horn carving materials. Rhinoceros horn carving, as a wonderful piece of ancient art in Wuxia, has become extinct. This seems to be a gift from Dragon Fifth. It's so valuable. Jiang Bangxia's face suddenly collapsed. She couldn't laugh anymore. She looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. The value of the little golden man she gave to her grandpa was not even 1/5 of the rhinoceros horn cup. It was ridiculous that she had just mocked Jiang Tian's gift. Now she felt that her face was swollen. "Grandpa, please take a look." Zhou Xian smiled indifferently and opened the second box. Ivory Guanyin statue. Go back and hit the heavy sea. Barefoot Persia enters the ivory. This ivory Guanyin statue is made of first-class materials and has a smooth shape. It's definitely more valuable than the rhinoceros horn cup. Everyone exclaimed again. Their faces were full of shock and their eyes were wide open. This ivory Guanyin statue was 10 centimeters high. It was white and tender like a spring bamboo, crystal clear. The Guanyin was compassionate and the lines were smooth. It seemed to be exuding a holy brilliance. "Grandpa, look again." Zhao Xueqing smiled sweetly and then opened the third box. Red coral. 1,000 years of cultivation into a beautiful tree. The world only knows the red coral. This coral is really beautiful. It's red all over and has a beautiful shape. But this one is worth at least 50 million. The rich people present were shocked to the extreme again. Their eyes were wide open. They couldn't believe it and their eyes were shining. The coral was shaped like a tree. It grew an inch every 20 years and a kilogram every 300 years. It was solid and red in color. This coral tree was 20 centimeters high. It was at least 1,000 years old. In Wuxia, coral was a symbol of auspiciousness and wealth. It had been used to make precious handicrafts. Red coral was an ornament of the palace for generations. Coral trees, bonsai, concubines' crowns, and the crowns of the princes and ministers were all made of red coral. Such a big red coral could be said to be priceless and difficult to buy. Zhao Xueqing opened the fourth box. This is tortoiseshell. How to not love sickness. Double pearl tortoiseshell hairpin. This jade hairpin made of tortoiseshell is also an antique. It seems to be a treasure of the Tang dynasty. A tortoiseshell hairpin is worth tens of millions. But here there are 10 of them at once. Everyone's eyes were blinded again. They were already numb from the shock. The tortoiseshell hairpin was made from the scales on its back. It was an organic material. The shell of an adult tortoiseshell was a vibrant yellowish-brown color. The patterns on the tortoiseshell scales were crystal clear and elegant. It was the best ornament and collector's item. Tortoiseshell was highly toxic and could not be eaten. However, it could be used as a medicine to clear away heat and detoxify the body. It was an expensive Chinese medicine and had the miraculous effect of clearing away heat, detoxifying poison, calming shock, and lowering blood pressure. I'm going to faint. This should add up to a few hundred million, right? I only spent 5 million to buy that medical book that I gave him. Why does it seem so ridiculous? At this moment, Jiang Qingfeng was also dumbfounded. His face turned red as if he had been slapped countless times by an invisible force. At this time he felt that he was like a clown, so ridiculous. He was so embarrassed that his face flushed red, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. Grandpa, take another look. Zhou Xian opened the last box. He Ding Hong. To be exact, this is a rui made by He Ding Hong. Spirit Seed Flying Crane Red, who has 9 transformations immortal art? This He Ding Hong is priceless. Its value is immeasurable. Everyone was shocked to the point tempestuous waves arose in their hearts, and they were filled with disbelief. Their hearts were simply on the verge of jumping out of their throats. Jiang Tian's gift was like an antique exhibition. Every single one of them was a top-notch treasure. Any one of them would be able to shock anyone, not to mention that Jiang Tian had taken out so many at once. Most importantly, these treasures were given to Jiang Tian by the people of Lingnan. It showed Jiang Tian's immense power and influence in Lingnan. It's worth at least 500 million in total. Jiang Chao was so excited that the muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched. He had no intention of competing. Instead, his heart was burning with passion. If Grandpa leaves all these to me, I'll be rich. Grandpa, that's all. Zhou Xian smiled faintly and retreated behind Jiang Tian obediently. The whole place was silent. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone looked at the treasures with greed, fanaticism and shock. Their bodies were trembling and they did not say a word. Jiang Tian was still sipping his tea with an indifferent expression. It was as if what he gave to Grandpa was not a treasure worth a few 100 million, but a pile of radishes and cabbages. Jiang Tian, you're wrong. Jiang Tian resisted stubbornly. He snorted and looked at Jiang Tian with a mocking expression. Grandpa is not a greedy person. Although these antiques are valuable, Grandpa will not like them. Yes, Grandpa has always lived a simple life. He also asks us to be thrifty. It may not be a good thing for you to buy such expensive things. Jiang Bangxia smiled and comforted herself. Jiang Tian, these gifts are from your friends. But they are so expensive. How are you going to return such a huge favor? Jiang Shuren was also educating him earnestly. His tone had softened a little. First uncle's family still dared to speak. However, second uncle Jiang Yangming, eldest aunt and youngest aunt's families all shut their mouths. Jiang Tian's strength was too strong and they couldn't afford to offend him. Facing the doubts of the 3 people, Jiang Tian was unmoved. He smiled faintly and said, "These are not antiques. They're medicine." With that, Jiang Tian slowly picked up the ivory guanyin statue that was worth at least tens of millions. Bang! Then, under the shocked gaze of everyone, he slammed the ivory guanyin statue on the table. The ivory guanyin statue was shattered into white powder by Jiang Tian's true core strength. Is he crazy? He smashed it. Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. They were 10 times more shocked than when they first saw these treasures. Jiang Tian, what do you mean? Jiang Shuren looked at Jiang Tian in shock and anger. Was Jiang Tian trying to show off to him? Bang! Jiang Tian smashed the rhinoceros horn cup into pieces. Bang! Jiang Tian knocked the cup gently and the red coral cracked inch by inch. In the end, under the shocked gazes of everyone, Jiang Tian smashed all these treasures into pieces as if they were a pile of trash. 500 million. Vanished into thin air. Jiang Tian, I won't stop you if you want to give Grandpa a gift. Why did you smash it? Are you trying to show off to me? Jiang Shuren was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. Jiang Shuren. Jiang Tian called him by his name and smiled faintly. You think too highly of yourself. Why should I show off to you? You are not even in my eyes. Then what do you mean? You are very powerful, but you can't disobey the rules of the family, right? Jiang Qingfeng was trembling with anger. Many members of the Jiang family were furious. Shut up. 9th great-uncle shouted in a low voice. Jiang Tian naturally has his reasons for doing so. 9th uncle, you are the most sensible one. Jiang Tian smiled. I am giving Grandpa a big gift, but this gift is Grandpa's health. What gift? 9th uncle was confused. Everyone was also suspicious. However, Jiang Chongjing had already understood something. His heart trembled and his face was full of disbelief. Can he make that kind of medicine? How is that possible? Chapter 213. Jiang Tian said with a smile, Grandpa has already shown signs of the 5 decays of heaven and man. Moreover, he has been smoking and staying up late for a long time. He has even been infected with a variety of viruses at work which have gone deep into his bone marrow. Ordinary drugs can't be removed and detoxified. We must first use red crane to fight poison with poison and disintegrate the toxins before the remaining efficacy of the medicine can be exerted. As he spoke, he grabbed a handful of the red crane's crown shards and placed them into a jade bottle with the exact amount. After the toxins are removed, use the cooling and detoxifying effect of the rhinoceros horn and tortoiseshell shell to neutralize the first two toxins. Zhang Tian smiled faintly and picked up an appropriate amount of rhinoceros horn and tortoiseshell shell, putting them into the jade bottle. But detoxifying doesn't mean curing. At this time, Grandpa's organs have been seriously damaged and are almost failing. He still needs to be carefully nursed. A doctor has his own intentions. The famous doctor of the Qing dynasty Yi Tianshi used a handful of parasol leaves to treat pregnant women with dystocia. He used the parasol leaves to contain the meaning of autumn to descend and all things to wither. The red coral is red and curved like meridians. It can be used to nourish the meridians. The ivory shape is plump and full, soft and moist to the touch. When used in medicine, it can restore the vitality of Grandpa's body and organs. As he spoke, Zhang Tian accurately picked up a certain amount of red coral and ivory fragments and put them into the jade bottle. Zhang Tian, your medical skills are really amazing. Where did you learn it? Jiang Chongqing sighed and was so excited that tears flowed down his face. In addition, Zhang Tian took out the dragon bone wisteria, snow jian, red xian, phoenix helianthus, and other herbs that he had plundered from Shenong school. He took out an appropriate amount of each and threw them into the jade bottle. With the nourishment of these herbs, I can refine 39 transformation great recovery pills. It can completely solve the problem of the 5 decays of heaven and man and extend Grandpa's life by at least 20 years. Good Zhang Tian, good grandson, I didn't misjudge you. Jiang Chongqing chuckled and felt very comforted. Spending 500 million to plunder medicinal pills just to treat his illness. This filial piety alone was not something that Jiang Shoren, Jiang Yangming, Jiang Qingfeng, and Jiang Bangxia could compare with. Which one of them didn't wish for him to die early so that they could become the head of the family and enjoy glory and wealth? This child is not bad. Ninth great-uncle's face was full of praise as he nodded repeatedly. However, the process of me refining medicinal pills cannot be seen by ordinary people. Zhang Tian said with a faint smile. Hearing Zhang Tian's eviction order, many of the guests did not dare to show the slightest bit of arrogance and displeasure as they bid farewell and left. Thus, Jiang Chongqing's 70th birthday banquet came to an end in such a way that everyone was talking about it. It was already 3 in the afternoon. The warm winter sun shrouded the courtyard. Cups and plates were in a mess and wine bottles were scattered all over the floor. Jiang Chongqing did not allow anyone to clean up. The faint fragrance of food and wine floated in the air. It was a typical scene after a banquet. Zhang Tian, you said, you know how to refine pills? Jiang Chongqing was in disbelief. This was an absolute art. It was already the pinnacle of medicine and pharmacy. He had only read some legends about it in ancient books. That's right. Under the nervous gazes of the crowd, Jiang Tian nodded slightly with a calm expression. Hiss. Jiang Chongqing took in a breath of cold air, then frowned and asked, how are you going to refine it? Do you need a cauldron? Oh, I can refine it. Grandpa, take a look. Jiang Tian smiled faintly as he grabbed the herbs in his hand. With a flick of his fingers, a raging flame suddenly burned in Jiang Tian's hand. Could it be that my grandson is an immortal? Jiang Chongqing stood up with a shocked expression on his face. He could not believe it. Seeing Jiang Tian control the flame and concoct the pill, everyone was dumbstruck. They were completely dumbfounded. They only felt that Jiang Tian was just like what Jiang Chongqing said, an immortal and a god. No one dared to look directly into Jiang Tian's eyes, completely surrendering to him. As his cultivation improved, his true essence and divine sense became more powerful. Jiang Tian only took 15 minutes to refine the medicinal pill. After making the old man consume it, Jiang Tian sent him to his room to rest for a while. At the banquet, everyone gathered again according to the old man's instructions. However, everyone looked at Jiang Tian with a different gaze. It was as if they were looking at a god with deep fear in their respect. After Jiang Chongqing got up, he felt that his body was incomparably relaxed and full of energy. The 5 decays of heaven and man were greatly alleviated. He also believed that after consuming all the medicinal pills he would definitely recover. When he came to the inner hall, everyone sighed at the miraculous effects of Jiang Tian's medicinal pills. Now I propose a proposal. Jiang Chongqing's dignified gaze swept across everyone present. Everyone immediately had a bad premonition. Sure enough, Jiang Chongqing said in a deep voice, Jiang Tian, take over my position as the Jiang family's patriarch. What? Everyone exclaimed. Jiang Shuren's face was ashen. He still wanted to become the Jiang family's patriarch after the old man passed away, but now, it was all for naught. I second it. Second Grandpa expressed his agreement. Agreed. Third Grandpa nodded. We can only be at ease if the Jiang family is handed over to Jiang Tian. He is worthy of great responsibility. Ninth Great-Uncle looked at Jiang Tian with eyes full of admiration and admiration. Jiang Shuren looked at Jiang Yongming, hoping that his second brother would say something fair. Unexpectedly, Jiang Yongming nodded without even looking at him. Agreed. Since no one objects, then from now on Jiang Tian will be the patriarch. He will be in charge of everything. Whoever dares to disobey his orders will be punished according to the family rules. Jiang Chongqing's dignified gaze swept across everyone's faces as he spoke with a solemn expression. Jiang Tian sat there, his expression neither sad nor happy. He was at ease, as if everything was within his expectations. At this moment he was no longer that worthless idiot. Instead he was the Jiang family's helmsman, representing the Jiang family's future hope. His every move could affect the Jiang family's future and destiny. Next, the family meeting will be handed over to Jiang Tian. Jiang Chongqing looked at everyone and said in a deep voice, Jiang Qingfeng kneel. This was Jiang Tian's first sentence as the patriarch. His voice was cold, merciless, and full of dignity. Why should I kneel? Jiang Qingfeng's face flushed red as he sneered. I'm your cousin. Even if you have the authority of the patriarch according to the family rules, I don't have to kneel to you. Jiang Shuren was filled with resentment and resentment. His face was ashen as he said in a sarcastic tone, Patriarch, you've grasped the authority of the patriarch well. I'm not asking you to kneel to me. I'm asking you to kneel to your grandfather and the ancestors of the Jiang family. Jiang Tian stared at Jiang Qingfeng and sneered. How much commission did you get when you purchased 2 billion worth of equipment from Pfizer Medical Equipment Company? How much of Xianxia Pharmaceutical Company's profits did you withhold last year? You're slandering me. Jiang Qingfeng was flustered as he gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. Feng Yu's contract with Pfizer was a big secret. He had even changed the finance department and everyone was loyal to him. How did Jiang Tian know about all these? Is he really greedy for money? There was an uproar in the room. Many people looked at Jiang Qingfeng suspiciously. Jiang Shuren cleared his throat and said in a deep voice, Patriarch, you can't talk nonsense. If you believe that Qingfeng is greedy, then show me the evidence. Otherwise my whole family won't be convinced. Alright, I'll make you convinced. Jiang Tian's face was calm. He crossed his legs and said indifferently, You've set up 3 accounts in the company. One for the tax, one for the family, and the last one is the real one. Do you think you can hide it from me? He sipped his tea and suddenly picked up a stack of documents and smashed it on Jiang Qingfeng's face. Look at how much you've embezzled. The commission is 2 billion and the profits are about 1 billion. At this time Tang Xiaozi walked in and bowed to Jiang Tian. He then distributed the documents to everyone. He sneered and said, This year, every time he released the financial report he hired Diching accounting firm to do an independent audit. For every audit he spent millions to bribe the accountant. Unfortunately, the person behind the scenes of this accounting firm is me. Qingfeng, look at what you've done. Jiang Yongming was furious after reading a few pages. Qingfeng, you've gone too far. I invited you back to revive the family, but you embezzled money. Big Aunt scolded. This is so disappointing. How dare you embezzle everyone's money? Little Uncle was also furious. This was human nature. If it didn't have anything to do with them, they would roll up their sleeves and get to the bottom of it. Jiang Qingfeng knelt on the floor and said in a trembling voice, "Grandpa, this is all my fault. Please give me a chance. I will turn over a new leaf." Jiang Chongging's face showed deep disappointment. He didn't even look at him and said coldly, "It's useless to beg me. I've said that from now on Jiang Tian will be in charge of the family. I propose to remove Jiang Qingfeng as the chairman of the Medicine King Group and let Ms. Zhang Wanqing take over." Jiang Yongming suddenly stood up and said in a loud voice. The situation was hopeless. "Hurry up and show your loyalty." "I agree. I agree. Sister-in-law Wanqing is the founder of the Medicine King Group. She will be the chairman of the Medicine King Group." "We agree." The public opinion had been formed. Jiang Qingfeng had lost his support. Everyone wanted to kick a man when he was down. Jiang Qingfeng collapsed to the ground with tears streaming down his face. Jiang Bangxia was trembling. He looked at Jiang Tian in horror as if he was looking at a demon. Jiang Shuren and his wife sighed as if they were mourning their parents. "In that case, from now on, Ms. Zhang Wanqing will be the chairman of the Medicine King Group." Jiang Tian looked calm and relaxed. Could be said that he was decisive and efficient. "Well, I will not let you down. I will be diligent and restore the prestige of the Medicine King Group." Zhang Wanqing stood up with excitement. She took a deep breath and said in a powerful voice, "He did it. He really did it." Her eyes were slightly moist. She stared deeply at her son's handsome face and sighed in her heart. 3 months ago, her son once said that he would help her take back the chairman position of the Medicine King Group. At that time she thought it was incredible. She only thought that her son was talking nonsense and was just empty words to comfort her. But now, it only took him a few minutes to remove Jiang Qingfeng from the chairman position and even defeat Jiang Shuren's faction. Great. Great. This is really exhilarating. Jiang Zhixing clenched his fists and couldn't help but want to cheer and jump up a few times. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.